I'm going to take Texas freshman quarterback Vince Young all the way through college, then export him to Madden. Let's begin. He is a true freshman, was redshirted in real life, but we're not going to do that. He'll be starting, and just for giggles, I redshirted Chris Sims. Benson will be our running back. He's a sophomore. He'll be back next year. We'll be needing a new fullback. Roy Williams headlines the receiving group. He is a junior, could be gone next year. Kyle Shanahan is on the team. Bo Leave Shafe at tight end. He is a junior. The offensive line might be a problem next year. Robbie Down is a senior. He'll be graduating. Derek Dockery will also be gone next year, but decent depth behind him. The team doesn't have a great center. Corey Redding will be graduating after this year, but we're good at defensive end. Depending on if Tubbs returns at defensive tackle, we might be in trouble here. Derek Johnson is a redshirt sophomore, but he's elite. Not in the best position at middle linebacker. Babers is a senior, and Vasher may choose to leave early. We're in trouble here. Pearson, redshirt junior, he could also leave early. Michael Huff, not a stud yet. We're the number 2 team in the nation, and Vince Young made a statement in his first game as the starter. The team did start 5-0, moving up to the number 1 team in the nation. He now has his first test against Oklahoma, and they lost by a field goal. Then their second test against undefeated Kansas State, in which they lost back-to-back games. After winning the following week, they now face their third test on the year, number 3 Nebraska. They won, getting back into the top 10. They would win the next 2 games to get to number 6, and their final test of the year against Texas A&M, winning, moving up to 5th in the nation, and earned a bowl bid for the Holiday Bowl against Oregon. Texas may have missed out on being in the championship game, but they're still playing in the Holiday Bowl against the Oregon Ducks in what is labeled Game of the Week. They started out 5-0, number 1 at one point, lost 2 games, and never got back to the top. Someone take out the rotisserie, because duck is on the menu, boys. The leader of this cookout, Vincent Young, the true freshman who took over after Chris Sims got redshirted. We'll see if this is the beginning of the Young era, or will Texas get restless. We start this one in the second quarter. Thornton can't get to the quarterback. Demetrius Williams bounces around Babers into the red zone. A play later, 5 throws to Ontario Smith near the 10. Third down, needing 4. Smith follows his blockers, and Babers is not having a good night. Oregon gets the first score in the game. Following drive for Texas. Third down, Young has Johnson over the middle for the first. This team was above average on offense in the season, but they're struggling today. Young deep to Johnson again. I'm surprised we haven't seen much of this. Young on the option pitches it out of bounds. Following play, they're going to throw. Shanahan with one hand. They're inching their way down the field. Young to the flat. Benson shakes off a tackle near the red zone. From the 22, Young play action down the middle. Roy Williams with a catch at the 6. 9th play of the drive started at their own 20, and Roy Williams caps it off with a touchdown in the back of the end zone. There's still over a minute left in the half. Oregon is punting it away. Texas with an opportunity to take the lead before the half, and it's a fumble scooped up by Hughes, and he's going to give Oregon the lead again. Half still not over. Oregon near midfield going deep. Keith Allen with a spectacular catch. 21 seconds left in the half. Fife threads the needle to Tim Day in the red zone. Not risking the time expiring, they kick the field goal. Oregon will be getting the ball to start the second half. It's 17-7. They're up by 10. Texas is struggling to get anything going. Fielded from the 2, takes it to the inside, and there's space back to the outside. Nobody is in front of him. Across midfield, Jackson can't get to him. Inside the 20, the 10, and they're now up 24-7. Not exactly desperation mode for Texas, but they need to pick up the pace, and Johnson knows exactly what to do, and they're not going to get near him, and they're back down by 10. We skip towards the end of the third quarter. Oregon with the ball. Sammy Parker with the catch. You're trying to burn as much clock as possible. Pitch right side. Spin move. Smith at midfield. Texas could make a stop here, 3rd and inches, Fife to Floberg to extend the drive. Following play action, Fife throws and almost picked off by Vasher, and that could have been a pick 6. Instead, the drive continues, 2nd down to the other side, and a perfect throw over Vasher into Howery. And what will be the final play of the 3rd quarter, Smith to the 15. It's the start of the 4th quarter, needing 4. Floberg takes the carry to the 8. Texas needs a stop here, Howery to the 4. It's now 3rd and goal. Floberg is denied by Huff. They'll kick the field goal to make it a 2-touchdown lead. We're in the final 2 minutes, down by 2 scores, and the ball is in the hands of the true freshman, Thomas, near the 1st. They rush back to the line, quick throw, gets the 1st. With over a minute left in the game, they need to hurry, great protection, Young off the back of Thomas. Following play, Young with all day to throw has Thomas, who holds on this time. 3rd and 1, the defensive line finally gets pressure and Young is off the mark. 4th and 1, it's a pitch. Benson is swallowed behind the line and they could not get the running game going at all today, and it cost them. That's how this game would end, and if it wasn't for those 2 special team mistakes, the fumble on the punt return and the kick return for a touchdown, Texas would have won by a point. Instead, they go home being upsetted by a duck. I don't place too much blame on Young. They couldn't run it, receivers were trying to catch with their backs, and the defense dropped a pick 6. Maybe next season goes better. Vince Young didn't have the greatest season, and if you take away his 2 touchdowns in the bowl game, it looks even worse. I did expect more out of Benson, under 1,000 on the ground. His backup, Ivan Williams, took a good chunk of carries from him. BJ Johnson had a phenomenal bowl performance, which got him over 1,000 yards receiving, while Roy Williams was a big play weapon. Didn't see the ball as much. Besides those 2 guys, 3 other players had over 100 yards. Freshman redshirt Jonathan Scott had the most pancakes on the team. Worst player was Lionel Garr at guard. Derek Johnson led the team in tackles, no surprise. He was 5th in defensive MVP, 3rd in best linebacker, also earned 2nd team All-American. Kalen Thornton tied with sacks at 8. He was tied with Johnson, again no surprise. Dorian and Tubbs had 7, while Nathan Vasher led the team in interceptions. Babers was behind him with 5, no one else had more than 3. Offensively speaking, the team was above average. Defensively, they were near the top. Can they maintain it going into next year? They'll have to control their turnovers, and that's all on Young. I also noticed the team struggled on national televised games. Does Young struggle when all eyes are on him? For the players leaving, I'll be going over it by position, and for big names only. As you guessed, Roy Williams is leaving early. I can't see their ratings. It's pretty bare bones. Robbie Dwayne is off to graduation. He was our best lineman. Derek Dockery is another lineman who will be graduating. Corey Redding will be graduating. We all knew these players were leaving after this year. We did not know that Derek Johnson was going to leave early. He leaves us in a huge hole. Babers is leaving. Again, we knew he was graduating. I will be exporting all the draft classes up to Vince Young. I won't be showing the recruiting part that much just because it wasn't that interesting. How it works, each team has a set amount of points that they can use to recruit players. Depending on your school, you might get less points. How do I know? I tried this out with a worse school. If you're a top team in the nation, you get enough points that you could basically recruit almost anyone you want. I also thought it was interesting that you can choose all 4 options to gain interest in recruits each week, unlike later installments where you can only select one, then do a pitch. No pitches in this version. With that all said, I'm just going to skip to the players I signed and how we did compared to the other schools. I signed a 4-star quarterback because I can. We got a 4-star running back. We needed a fullback, Maynard, 3-star, will probably be redshirted. Now we got 3 top 5 receivers, all 5 stars, all blue chippers. We also got 2 4-star tight ends, signed the number 6 and 5 offensive tackle in the nation, got the number 1 and 2 offensive guard in the nation, yet I couldn't sign a center. We got a 5-star defensive end, the number 1 defensive tackle in the nation, Chuck Norris at outside linebacker, along with the number 2 in the nation, the number 3 middle linebacker, 2 4-star cornerbacks, a 4-star free safety, a 1-star strong safety, and the number 5 punter in the nation. Obviously, we were the #1 team in recruiting. It was way too easy. I also won't be going over the training camp since we'll be going over the roster anyways. Chris Sims had a 7-point boost after his redshirting, and Young hasn't improved much. That makes me worried he won't be good enough to be exported. Benson is almost 99, wouldn't be surprised if he leaves early. Matthews will start, Maynard was redshirted, Johnson and Thomas are both in elite territory, Hess, Sweeney, Kinney, all freshmen, Sweeney being the only one who'll be redshirted. Bo Scaife will be graduating, Terrell will be his backup, Clemens was redshirted, Lamar Walter will start as a true freshman, Ashley will be redshirted, and I'm letting Scott continue to start after how well he played last year. We're stacked in terms of decent depth at guard, which means the freshman Prince will be redshirted. I wasn't able to change the players' positions, so we're stuck with Bates at center. Thornton leads all the defensive ends. We have depth. Freshman Anderson will be redshirted. Tubbs did return at defensive tackle. Howell will pair with him nicely as a true freshman. Chuck Norris was not as good as I thought he would be, but he's still good depth. Reed Boyd will be gone after this year. Browning is his replacement next year. He'll be redshirted this season. Vasher is in the 99 club, but he's also a senior. I'm not excited about this position. Pearson will also be gone next year at free safety. Michael Hoff did not improve like I thought he would. And despite how rough the secondary looks, we're ranked #1 in the nation. Just like last year, the team dominated their season opener. They started 3-0 with their first test, Kansas State. Texas won in a shootout, then the following week they take on Oklahoma, in which they dominated them. Texas won their next 2 games to go 7-0, their third test coming against the #3 ranked Nebraska. This might be the year they win a national championship. They went 10-0, final game of the year against Texas A&M. They lost. They still have a championship game against Nebraska. I was going to show this game, but it froze all 3 times I tried it, so I'm simulating it. They lost in a blowout. Team is falling apart. We still have a game against Tennessee in the Cotton Bowl. What looked like a team that was going to compete for a national championship had 2 straight losses to finish out their season. This collapse will go down in history as one of the biggest chokes for their school. Texas will now be taking on Tennessee here in the Cotton Bowl to try and salvage whatever dignity they have left. Or will they meet the same fate they had last year against Oregon? They'll have to rely on this guy, Cedric Benson, who was used very little in their bowl game last year. When you have a weapon like this, you have to use them. We start this one on Tennessee's first drive. Play action and Leak is going deep. Jason Witten with a catch near the 35. The following play, they run an option right side. Leak pitches it. Fleming has room for the first. Took 2 plays for them to get to the 25, and on the third play, Leak to the end zone. Washington had the height advantage on Vasher for the first score in the game. We skip to the second quarter. Tennessee up by 7. Young down the middle. True freshman Hess with a catch. They're near midfield and Young throws a wild pass that gets picked off. Tennessee looking to add to their lead. Leak with great protection steps up and finds Haley. A play later, fake pitch, and the offensive line is dominating. Faden tackled short. 3rd and inches, they give it to the fullback and he gets it. Under 2 minutes and a half, Leak keeps it on the option for another first. From the 16, they're going to throw to the end zone. Haley with the diving catch, and Tennessee is now up 14-0. We're now in the final minute of the half. Young throws. Scaife holds on through the hit. 14 seconds left in the half. Young under pressure. Hit as he throws and caught by Johnson. Add another 5 for the face mask. They get in position for a field goal to end the first half, 14-3. First play in the second half, Tennessee's ball, and it's a fumble recovered by Texas. They'll set them up in the red zone. Young wide open, Scaife inside the 10. Following play, Young setting up the screen to Thomas. Nobody is near him, and wait a minute, it's a game again. Tennessee looking to shake off that turnover. Leak to Jones. Following play, they go to the ground. fullback takes it to the outside for a gain of 6. A play later, 3rd and 2, Riggs with a diving catch. Tennessee has had some spectacular catches, and the fullback up the middle near the first. 2nd, 3rd down on the drive, and the fullback gets it. Another 3rd down before the end of the quarter, going deep. Haley with the catch, and Texas is struggling to contain the leak. It's now the start of the final quarter. Pitch, Davis rumbling into the end zone to extend their lead back to 2 scores. Down by 11, but a full quarter to work with. Thomas with the catch, and it's a fumble. Tennessee recovers. Thomas scored a touchdown after the team forced a fumble, but now he's possibly given the game away. Texas did force a 3 and out, but they're now down 24-10. 4 minutes to get 2 touchdowns. Vince Young to the sideline, Johnson with the catch. 2nd and 1, pitch, Benson, haven't seen him much, gets the first. Just over 3 minutes left in the game. Young throws, Matthews with the catch. They rush back to the line. 3rd down, Young deep, Johnson with one hand. The flag was PI on the defense. If they get a touchdown here, they're back in the game. Thomas, one-handed, gains 5 on the play. 3rd down, Young dropped back, clean pocket, going deep. Incomplete. It could come down to this play, needing 5 down the middle, and neither Longhorn can come up with it. Tennessee would run the rest of the clock, which means Texas lost their final 3 games to finish out their season. One of the more devastating collapses that might make the school second guess giving Young that starting job over Sims. Unlike last season, when special teams cost them a chance at a Super Bowl victory, Young didn't do enough to win this game. There's always next year. Another season, another lackluster performance. I'm not confident that Young will even make the draft. If that's the case, I might redshirt him his senior year, go the route of Chris Sims. Benson, on the other hand, popped off over 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns. It did get him 5th for the Heisman, 4th as offensive MVP, 4th as best running back, but only 2nd team All-American. If he leaves early, that means Selvin Young is the next man up. Sloan Thomas led the team in receiving yards, a great senior year for him. Johnson slumped but still led in touchdowns. Both of them will be gone next year. Next guy up is Hess. Blaylock led in blocking this year after being redshirted. He even got a first team All-American. The offensive line didn't have a glaring weakness like last season. Armand Satchel led the team in tackles. JP Wright was right behind him. Roderique Wright led the team in sacks. Boyd and Thornton both are seniors behind him. Pearson led in interceptions. He was tied with Michael Huff. Nobody else had more than 3. Now the offense was more than above average, closer to elite. The defense was still very good, but the same issues persist with turnovers. We're now in the offseason. Chris Sims is graduating. I may try to boost Young's rating doing what I did to Sims. Cedric Benson is indeed leaving early while his stock is high. We knew both Thomas and Johnson were leaving. We also knew that Scaife was graduating. Holloway will also be gone. Thornton is also graduating. Tubbs stayed an extra year. Probably wasn't worth it. Boyd has graduated. Vasher is going to be good in the NFL. The final player graduating is Pearson. Once again, not going to go through the week-by-week process of recruiting. I did get a 4-star quarterback. We also got a number 1 running back and number 4 who's probably going to get redshirted. We got the number 3 receiver, the number 4 tight end, the number 1 offensive tackle, the number 8 defensive end, a 4-star defensive tackle, the number 6 outside linebacker, the number 1 corner, which we needed with Vasher leaving. I didn't sign as many players, but we were still 5th in the nation for our recruiting class. This is not a drill, I repeat. This is not a drill. Vince Young is now in the 80s. I'm going to have to redshirt him, aren't I? Selvin Young will be the starting running back this year. The true freshman Jones behind him. Fullback is a tricky position for me to understand. Our receivers are not great, but they have the potential for Young's senior year if I redshirt him. I did redshirt Wiley. I'll be starting Clemens since he has some speed. Walter and Scott will be the starting tackles this year. The guards are going to be really good next year. Once again, I couldn't find a center in the offseason. Wright is a junior. I don't know if he'll he'll be back next year, but Senlin's a senior. There's a chance they'll both be gone next year. Howell didn't improve much, but Lee is a senior. This is a position of need. Satchel is a senior, which means Wright and Norris will be the main starters next year. Disappointed that Browning didn't improve much, but he's starting. Our corners are not great. We're in trouble. Free safety is also not great. It's worse. Michael Huff has not turned into the stud I thought he would be. We are still ranked, surprisingly, lucky number 13. Started 2-0 with a dominant win over North Texas. We now have our first test against Arkansas. We lost. We're not good. I think everyone knew that. After we won the following week, our second test against Colorado. Hold up, are we good? Well, we had another test against the number 1 team in the nation, Oklahoma. Yeah, we're not number 1 in the nation good, but we're okay. Pulled off 9 straight wins to go 9-2. The final game of the year against number 12 Texas A&M. Are we good? We're inconsistent. That's for sure. Obviously, we weren't in the Big 12 championship game, but we are back in the Cotton Bowl against the number 10 Auburn. For the past 2 seasons, Vince Young and the Texas Longhorns have made it to a bowl game, but each year they haven't been able to get over the hump. They'll be taking on their best opponent yet, the number 10 Auburn Tigers. If there's one thing that should be questioned, it's if the secondary will be turned into toast. Vincent Young has taken a substantial leap in protecting the ball this season, but I don't think that'll be good enough for him to consider declaring early for the NFL draft. We start this one with Auburn on 3rd down, McIntyre with the first. Another 3rd down, needing 13, Campbell to Obamanu across midfield. When you pass the ball that well, you can run even better. Cadillac Williams across the 30. We're now in the shotgun, Campbell pumps to the flat, Wallace breaks a tackle, breaks another near the first. 2nd and 1, straight to the Cadillac, takes it left side to the 10. From the 9, back to Williams, up the middle, dances, tackled at the 1. 2nd and goal, Campbell gets laid out short. 3rd and goal, they're going to throw, panicking, and it's dropped. They're going to go for it, they give it to the big man, and he gets in for the first score in the game. Auburn ate the entire first quarter, Young to Hess for the first. Same drive, 2nd quarter, 3rd down, needing 15 to the sideline and caught by Clemens. That gets them across midfield. Young is going to run with it and has blockers for the first. Texas isn't wasting much time moving the ball. Young, deep, Clemens with a catch. That gets them to the 7. Young pitches it to Young. Selvin Young, and he ties the game up. 2 minutes and a half. 3rd down, needing 11, and they're going to get a whole lot more across midfield. Following play, they go to the ground. Williams up the middle, gain of 6. 3rd and 4, they give it to the freight train and gets the first. Over a minute left in the half to keep it on the ground. Williams, gain of 7. 3rd and 3, counter Williams, and he's stonewalled. 4th and inches, not going for it to reclaim the lead, and it's no good, but they ate the clock. We start the second half with Auburn after a Texas 3-and-out, and the fullback has some ball skills. A play later, Jason Campbell with a quick throw, some touch on it for Mix. Sets up 3rd and 2, Cadillac with a carry across midfield. This Texas defense doesn't have any answers. The freight train near the first. Another 3rd down, Williams easily gets it. 3rd down, final play of the 3rd quarter, needing 14, Wallace gets it. They ate the entire 3rd quarter. In the 4th, Williams with the first. They now have another 3rd down on the drive. Campbell to the end zone, peach of cake. This defense can't stop anything. Auburn has double the time of possession on Texas. We're in the final quarter. They're up by a touchdown. All they need to do is get the ball back, and it's a fumble. Well, they got the ball back. Texas did manage to stop them to a field goal, but they're now down by 10. 3 minutes left in the game. It's not over yet. Young, deep, Sweeney gets across midfield. They now face a 3rd down, too far for a field goal. Young going deep and incomplete. And this play to keep the game alive. Young to the sideline, Johnson, it ain't over yet. From the 26, Young drops back, great protection, all day to throw to the end zone, and it's over. Auburn ran out the rest of the clock, and for the 3rd consecutive year, Texas finishes 10-3 with a disappointing performance in the bowl game. The defense was struggling to stop the run and the pass. Vince Young forced a terrible row to end their season. Now we have a decision to make. Are we going to redshirt him next year? But is there even going to be a next year? After 3 seasons as the starter, Vincent Young is beginning to figure out this whole quarterback position. Was 4th at best quarterback. Selvin Young got over 1,000 on the ground, 10 touchdowns, over 5 yards a carry. Jones was not as impressive as his backup. Sweeney led the team in receiving yards and touchdowns. Hess wasn't that far off. He was better at holding on to the ball. Nobody else had more than 500 yards on the team. Trey Bates led the entire offensive line. Overall, Walter was the best player based on ratio. Chuck Norris led the team in tackles. Rodriguez Wright led the team in sacks. Again, Howell and Lee were next up with 6. Kwame Mayer had his best year in his senior year. Nobody else had more than 4 interceptions. I did want to point out that the Texas Dream, Dusty Mangum, was 3rd for best kicker. No surprise, the running game took a step back. The defense was still pretty solid. Turnovers still an issue. Let's start the offseason. Another fullback is off to graduation. Lionel Gar's off to graduation. He was solid this past season. We now currently have no centers on the team. Austin Sendlin was not a big name. His stat sheet was not impressive. Stevie Lee at defensive tackle is graduating. He had a fantastic year. Armand Satchel is a solid tackler. He's leaving on a good year. Kwame Mayer had his best season. I wonder where he'll land. Dusty Mangum was one of the best kickers, but stats say otherwise. On to recruiting. I've made it a point to get a quarterback every year. I don't know why. Also got the number 2 receiver in the nation. Got a 4-star tackle, most likely redshirting him. Signed 2 5-star guards, 1 being the best in the nation. Signed 3 centers. We needed 1 the past 2 years. I'm making up for lost time. A 4-star defensive end, the number 2 defensive tackle, both 5 stars. 2 outside linebackers, both 5 stars. Cornerback has been difficult for me. Signed a 4-star. The number 4 free safety, 5 stars. The number 5 strong safety, 5 stars. Finally, the 3rd ranked kicker. As you can guess, we were the top class in this year's signings. I don't think I talked about this, but we're only allowed to have 55 players on the roster. I'm not going to go over the players I cut, but I thought that was too low, considering that you're allowed to sign up to 25 players. I did decide to redshirt Vince Young in the hopes that he gets the Chris Sims buff. I'm still going to go over everything as usual. Selvin Young is elite, slow, but there's a chance he leaves early. Daddy Magic at fullback. With Young out for this season, I'm excited to see the development of these receivers in the final year. Same thing goes to the tight ends. We'll be starting both elite players at tackle. Same thing at guard, both elite players starting. The drop off at center wasn't as steep as I thought. This is going to be Wright's final year on the team. The team does run a 3-4, which I didn't realize until now. Wright and Norris will be the starters this season. Browning took a huge leap in development. No elite players at corner. McCulloch will be leaving next year. Harold Hampton is looking like a future stud. Michael Huff creeped his way into the 80s. We are the number 11 team in the nation. Started out 3-0 without Vince Young, but our first test will be against Colorado and they won. Was Young the problem? Well, we'll find out next week as they take on Oklahoma. Yeah, this team is not quite ready to be the best in the nation yet. They did win 6 straight. The final game of the season being against Texas A&M, and they won. This is the best record this team has had since we've started, but we won't be in the Big 12 championship game due to the loss against Oklahoma. We will be back in the Holiday Bowl against Stanford. I did simulate it since this is about Vince Young, and we won. I'm thinking Young might be a choke artist. We might have a quarterback controversy. Who am I kidding? Palmer won't be around long enough to be exported to Madden, but if you want, maybe I could make an alternate universe video where he does make it. Let me know. Selvin Young had another similar season to last year. It'll be interesting if he returns for his senior year. Potter had a pretty good season. Lonnie Hess has finally crossed over 1,000 yards. Adrian Reyes was right behind him, led with 12 touchdowns. He was also the 4th best receiver, earned himself a 2nd team. Sweeney ended up dropping back down the roster. Justin Blaylock led the team with the most pancakes, earned him a second-team All-American, though Grant Lindsey was more efficient. Overall, besides his stats, the line was dominant. Chuck Norris once again led in tackles. He was second in defensive MVP. He was also second in best linebacker, earned first team. I'd be surprised if he returns next year. Roderick Wright led in sacks. Again, good enough for fifth best lineman and second team All-American. The true freshman Rogers was behind him with 6. No one else had more than 5. We were so thin at corner. Receiver Ben Kinney led in interceptions. Hampton and Huff were behind him with 4. The offense was still pretty good without Young. The pass defense is still struggling. Turnovers were still an issue, but not as bad. Let's start the offseason. Jonathan Scott didn't get to really showcase his talent, but I think he'll be good in the NFL. Roderick Wright was a 3-year starter, led in sacks each year he started. He's graduating. Chuck Norris is in fact leaving early. He was solid all 3 years. McCulloch leaves us in a bind at corner. I don't think he'll be great in the NFL. Harold Hampton shocked us and leaves super early. I thought he was the future. Michael Huff finishes his senior year. I'm not disappointed, I'm just pointed. Off to recruiting, got the number 2 middle linebacker, got 2 corners, one of them was a 5-star recruit. We have to fill the hole that Hampton left us at free safety. We got the number 1 strong safety to replace Huff. Since it is the final year, I didn't really care to sign too many recruits. Well, that wasn't the outcome I was expecting. Young hardly improved. Palmer will probably improve past him next year. Selvin Young decided to stick around for his senior year. Daddy Magic at fullback. 2 elite receivers with Hess and Reyes. Sweeney isn't too far behind. A decent tight end. No excuse for Young. 2 elite tackles, 3 elite guards, the best center we ever had. Again, no excuse for Young. Anderson and Blackburn will be the starting defensive ends. Howell is now elite at defensive tackle. No more Chuck Norris, but JP might just be right. Zach Browning is far better than I thought he'd ever be. Our corners are still iffy. Sellers and Britt are the starters. Do you hear that, Zach? I'm going to start York at free safety. Phelps will start over Carpenter. We are currently the number 1 team in the nation, and we lost that immediately. We did recover, going 4-1 with our first test against number 3 Oklahoma, in which we won in a shootout. And then our second test came against the number 11 Nebraska, which we barely won. We're now the number 2 team going into the final week against the number 25 Texas A&M. Started number 1, now we're number 2 at the door of the national championship game, but first we need to beat number 12 Colorado in the Big 12 championship game, a game that, well, you guessed it, froze. I did simulate it. We won, earning the Big 12 championship trophy for the first time in the video. We're now in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl to determine the national championship. It's been 5 seasons since the start of Vincent Young's career. Sat out last year as a redshirt, but he returned and took his team to the national championship game. One last game for the collegiate athlete. Started the year as the number 1 team, but they enter as the number 2. Their opponent, the number 1 team in the nation, the Louisville Cardinals. The question on everyone's mind, can Vincent Young finally get over the hump and win a bowl game? We start this one in the final 2 minutes of the half, scoreless, Texas ball. Young going deep, Terrell with the catch. Not a lot of action to start this game, but on 3rd down, Hess makes the catch in double coverage. Young is feeling it now. The following play, Young is pressured to the sideline, and Kenny with the catch down the sideline. That puts them at the 13-yard line. Young back to Kenny, and he fights his way through for the first score in the game. We now skip to the second half. Texas still up 7-0 to the sideline, caught, and it froze. To be honest, I'm over it. I'm over it. I ended up simulating the game and Texas lost, continuing the story that Vincent Young can't handle the limelight. For his final year, his quarterback rating was higher, but he really wasn't that much better. I'm not sure how confident I am in him going in the first round in the draft, if he's even in it. He was the 2nd best quarterback, also earning 2nd team again, giving me a bit more confident that he'll be in the draft now. Selvin Young popped off. He's most likely going to be in the top half of the draft. You probably noticed he won the Heisman. He also won offensive MVP. He also won best running back. Again, he should be the first overall pick, but we'll see. Lonnie Hess once again led the team in receiving yards, but Adrian Reyes led in touchdowns again. Nobody else had more than 300 yards. Lamar Walter has been a stud. He'll be a top pick. Blaylock, on the other hand, not as good. JP proved me right. Led in tackles. Ken Buckner was not too far off of him. Todd Howell led in sacks, and he's been consistent his entire career. As you noticed, Wright was behind him. Did you hear, Zach? York led in interceptions. It was good enough to put him at 4th for defensive backs, but even earned him 2nd team All-American. Tony Britt was right behind him, but without the accolades. Did want to point out that Daddy Magic and Selvin Young were 1st team All-Americans. The offense this season was elite. The defense had elite run stuffing. Turnovers still an issue. Now for the final time, the offseason. Vince Young will be graduating. Selvin Young will be graduating. Lonnie Hess will be graduating. Lamar Walter will be graduating. Justin Blaylock will be graduating. J.R. Blackburn will be leaving early. Todd Howell will be graduating. Garnett Smith will be graduating. Tony Britt will be leaving early. Finally, Jason Walls will be graduating. The final draft class will be exported. One last time looking at Young's stat card, he did improve each year, but he's been very reckless with the ball. I wonder if that carries over to Madden. I also noticed that he didn't really use his legs until his final year. Will he run more in Madden? Well, there's only one way to find out. The way I'll be doing this is by turning coach mode off. If I don't do that, then the only teams I could select at the end of the year will be the ones that have coaching availabilities. This way I can pick any team that could potentially need a quarterback. I also won't be controlling anything until the year Young declares for the draft. I do want to go over each player that got drafted from Texas and what they've done leading up to the year I take over. The first draft class, Roy Williams was taken 3rd overall by the Baltimore Ravens. He's tall, he's fast, he's quick, he's got all the makings of a stud. His first 2 years were solid but fell in production in his 3rd year. It seems like he may have found his footing in his most recent season. He really hasn't developed like a 3rd overall pick. The 11th overall pick of the draft was Derek Dockery. He went to Philadelphia. That's a low overall for a top pick in the 1st round, in my opinion. He went to the Pro Bowl each season besides 2004. He's now elite after 4 seasons, not taking into account the progression that will happen in the offseason. He even went to the Super Bowl. The final Texas player selected in the 1st round, Derek Johnson, 17th overall by Miami, 69 overall. Nice. Seems a bit low. He has been a 4-year starter in Miami. The past 2 seasons, he has been electric. His 2005 campaign alone was enough for him to get the win over Philly in the Super Bowl. It's a matter of time before he becomes elite like Dockery. Corey Redding, the next pick, 3rd round, 70th overall. This, in my opinion, was a steal by Washington. An injury in his first season set him back, but he has been consistent the following 3 years. He hasn't developed as quickly, but he's a solid player for the pick. Rod Babers was selected in the 5th round, 153rd overall. I was not expecting him to go this late in the draft. Could be a project player by Seattle. I'll be honest, he's my favorite story in this draft. Was cut before the season began by Seattle, was a special teamer in New York his first year, started the 2nd season with the team, and he has been balling ever since. I think he'll only get better and better, but time will tell. Robbie Dwayne was selected in the 6th round, 174th overall. I won't be going over every player's stat sheet, mainly because I couldn't find them or I lost track of a backup player, and that's what happened here. Final Texas player selected in the draft class, Lee Jackson, 7th round, 220th overall. Another player that didn't amount to much in the NFL, which unfortunately happens. Off to year 2, Bo Scaife was the first player taken in the draft, 12th overall. He was taken by the Broncos, and he doesn't really stand out, and truth be told, I didn't even look him up because his stats were so boring, I didn't even bother to look at the most recent year. Nathan Vasher was the next next player taken with the 20th pick in the first round. The Saints drafted a stud and at this moment the highest rated Texas player taken in the draft. Besides his 2005 campaign, which we'll say they didn't want to throw to his side, he's been phenomenal. He's 1 point away, which he'll probably get in the offseason from being the second elite player to come from Texas. We're still not done in the first round. B.J. Johnson was taken the next pick, 21st overall. Washington drafted Redding last year, and it looks like they're trying to create a pipeline to Texas. Roy Williams may not have panned out for Baltimore, but Johnson is looking much better in Washington. He's already rated higher than Williams with one less year of development. Still not done with the first round. 25th overall, Cedric Benson was selected by Tampa Bay. I think this is a fitting fit for the team. He struggled in his first season but popped off in his second year. Unfortunately, they drafted another running back and it forced him to be a backup for some reason. He could have easily been elite this coming season. Instead, he might regress. In the first pick in the second round, Chris Sims. If this is his rating from a 97 in NCAA, I don't have high hopes for Vince Young. Sims has struggled each season with Carolina, but he also improved each year, not by much, but he's not terrible. He's also now an 83 overall. He's their franchise guy. Kalen Thornton was selected in the second round, 37th overall by the Raiders. I was not expecting him to be as good as Corey Redding. His numbers aren't really spectacular either, other than his 2005 season. Yet he's an 86 overall. I don't think he'll improve next year. We're still in the second round. Sloan Thomas, selected 56 overall by the San Diego Chargers. He's a very mid-athlete. I also couldn't find him in the later seasons, but I'm sure he's around somewhere. In the back half of the draft, Marcus Tubbs was selected in the 5th round, 153rd overall by the Buccaneers. You'd think this would be a great place to develop a defensive tackle, but I didn't bother looking into him. The final Texas player was Tim Holloway, 7th round, 216th overall by San Diego, and he didn't do anything. We're off to the 3rd draft class. Austin Sendlin was the first Longhorn selected in the 3rd round, 75th overall. It was not a good draft class from the school, evident with this being the best player taken. Not a terrible player, he's productive but not outstanding. He has developed, but he's nothing more than a jag. The final player selected, yeah, that's how bad it was. 4th round, 117th overall, Armand Satchel. He went to San Diego and he did not do much. Moving on to the final draft class, Roderick Wright was the first Longhorn taken, 2nd round, 45th overall by Baltimore. That's a great place for a young player to go and develop. Unfortunately for him, he sat the bench the majority of his rookie season. The next player taken was Jonathan Scott, 3rd round, 65th overall by Kansas City. I thought he was going to be way better than this. Apparently not. Didn't bother looking up his stats. Chuck Norris was the 3rd Longhorn selected, 4th round, 99 overall by Dallas, and he was awful. He could have benefited by staying a few more seasons in Texas. He hardly saw the field in Dallas. The final player was Edorian McCulloch, 3 picks later, 102nd overall by Oakland. He's a solid player to develop. We saw what happened to Babers. All you need is someone to take a chance on you. Oakland took a chance and he was decent in his rookie year. It might pay off for the Raiders. With the draft over, who needs a quarterback? Chicago could use one with Miller having 1 foot out the door in retirement. We could do Cincinnati, but I already did Cincinnati and I don't know if you want to see that again. Chiefs could be an option, but James Young was their 1st overall pick last year. I doubt they'd take another chance on another Young. The Giants are also another option with Collins getting older, but the hefty lefty will probably take over. Seattle is another team with a quarterback problem, but they already have a mobile quarterback in Shockley. With all the options weighed in front of me, I'm going Chicago. This is the 5th year in the draft that will house Vince Young. He is currently projected to go anywhere within the first 2 rounds. There are 2 other quarterbacks ahead of him. Do I take the chance on taking him in the 2nd round? I do want to state that if he does get picked up before I can select him, I will make a trade for him. Let's start the offseason. Jim Miller did in fact retire, which makes Chicago a perfect landing spot for Young. There were 2 other retirements, Ted Washington was a solid pass rusher, will probably go to the draft to replace him. James Williams didn't see too much playing time the past 3 years. Moving on to the rookie scouting, I know you want to see his scouting report. He's a scrambling quarterback, great arm, good accuracy, not very good at reading the play, but has good vision that makes him accurate. I feel like those two conflict with each other. He's also 24. On to resignings. Craig Nall, currently the backup, don't need him. He gone. Anthony Thomas is in a holdout. I plan to be run heavy this season. It's a no-brainer. He's coming back. Brandon Drum, not good at anything. He gone. Marcus Robinson wants a lot of money to be receiver number 3. I don't plan to throw that much this season. He gone. Arnold Jackson, he also gone. Terrell Browden is never going to see the field. He gone. Bernard Robertson is holding out, starting left tackle. Considering we have decent depth, I might end up trading him. We'll come back to him later. Rex Tucker, another holdout. His production has been slipping. I might trade him. We'll come back to him later. A third straight holdout, Olin Kreutz. He had a bounce back season. I'm going to give him a new contract. His backup Kevin Doggins is on the older side. He gone. Armand Satchel, he's just not good. He gone. Brian Urlacher, not even an argument. We need to keep this defense intact. He's coming back. Ainsley Battles is a backup that's only going to get worse. He gone. Final player, Paul Ettinger. He has struggled the past few seasons, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Going back to Rex Tucker, I wanted to send him to Carolina for their late first-round pick. I forgot. You can't trade holdouts off the free agency. Since I can't trade holdouts and I can't offer them a new contract until after the draft, I need to save cap space, meaning that I won't be able to sign anyone in this year's free agency. Moving on to the NFL draft, Sylvan Young was the first pick in the NFL draft. Delani Hess was also selected in the top 5. The first quarterback taken was Richmond Gutierrez, 4th overall by Pittsburgh. The second quarterback taken was Rich Burt, 9th overall by Jacksonville. The third quarterback taken, Vincent Young, 13th overall by Chicago. I didn't want to take a chance on missing him since there were 2 other quarterbacks taken later in the first round. The best player I selected was Lester McLean, free safety in the 5th round. I did draft former Texas player Todd Howell in the 6th, another former Texas player J.R. Blackburn in the 2nd. We'll see how good this draft class becomes in a few years. I did offer a contract to Bernard Robertson and a contract to Rex Tucker. I also signed some players in free agency, mostly depth. You'll see them when I go over the roster, but I wanted to point out that Culpepper was a free agent. If I wasn't doing a Vince Young video, I'd absolutely would try to sign him, but I don't have the cap space anyways. Obviously, Vince Young is starting. He improved by a point after the preseason. His backup will be Kemp. I expect Pause to regress next year. We are going run heavy this season. We're going to have to rely mostly on Thomas this year. One of the free agents I signed was rookie fullback McCarthy. Marty Booker is our number 1 receiver. Terrell is behind him, but don't expect either of these players to have a breakout year this season. Mercedes Lewis is our starting tight end. We have 3 left tackles, 2 are elite, 1 solid. Robertson will be starting at left tackle, Colombo at right. Rex Tucker was given a new contract. He's starting at left guard. Olin Kreutz was another holdout. He's starting at center. Mike Gandy is starting at right guard. Chris Villarreal, decent backup behind him. We have no right tackle, hence Colombo starting there. The rookie Blackburn is the only player we have at left end. He's not going to start as Square will play out of his natural position. Neal will start at right end. We do run a 4-3, which means Howell will be paired up with Trailer at defensive tackle. Roosevelt Colvin will be starting at left outside linebacker. Brian Urlacher at middle linebacker. Warwick Holdman, the lowest starting linebacker, on the right. Joe Livette and McQuarters at corner. I do have high expectations for 3rd round pick Watkins. Floyd is the starting free safety. McLean somehow regressed. Mike Brown is the starting strong safety. Warner is his backup. The game plan is to be extremely run heavy. I don't want Young to play hero ball. I want him to learn first before we give him the keys to the team. We'll also be very conservative on both sides of the ball. I want close competitive games, low scoring, a boring season. Vince Young did win the first game of his career. Hold up, is this a good team? This is not a good team. They lost 5 straight. They did snap their losing streak with a win against Miami, then they tied against the Buccaneers, pulled off 2 straight divisional wins to get back to 500, then they lost to the Cardinals, then they won 2 more games, sweeping the Packers. Technically, we are the number 5 seed. A primetime win against Seattle will give us a winning season. All we need is San Fran or Washington to lose next week, or we win to get into the playoffs, and we choke the final game of the year. But the 49ers lost to the Chiefs, which means we are in the playoffs as the number 6 seed. Vince Young was asked to do as little as possible and still threw 20 interceptions. I do think, depending on how much he improves, we will give him more reps. Anthony Thomas ended up getting injured throughout the season. The risk of being run heavy. Houston was not great, but solid enough. Again, I knew the receivers were not going to have an outstanding year. I wouldn't be surprised to see them regress. Olin Kreutz was phenomenal. Robertson and Colombo right behind him. Urlacher led the team in tackles. Colvin, the only other player over 100 tackles. Traylor tied in sacks. We'll need to replace him soon. Holdman had a really good year. Mike Brown led in interceptions. I'm surprised the rookie Warren had 3. Edinger is definitely on the hot seat next season. Obviously, number 1 in rushing, but next year we might pass more. The defense was solid. I don't see a need to change anything yet. Young continues to struggle with turnovers. From a national championship game to the first steps of what could be Vince Young's path to the Super Bowl. He's never won a bowl game, doesn't mean he can't rewrite the narrative of winning in the spotlight here today against the Philadelphia Eagles. Who moves on to the divisional round? Let's find out. We'll get an early look at Vince Young in this offense with time finds Booker for the first. Following play, they do a pitch right side, Houston, gain of 5. Second down, they go back to the ground. Houston powers through for the first. They're closing in on midfield from the shotgun, Young to Terrell. That gets them in Philadelphia territory. Young with the perfect throw to Booker for the first. They now face their first third down on the drive. Clean pocket, Young going deep, incomplete, but PI on the defense. Sets them up inside the 10. Third down, Young to the end zone. Chris Perry holds on for the first score in the game. McNabb is out with an injury. Chris Lewis is in, and this face mask by Colvin for 15 yards. Philadelphia is in good position. Corner blitz. Lewis throws. Caught by Mitchell. A play later, another corner blitz. Lewis to Pinkston inside the 10. From the 7, they're going to throw to the end zone. Miller with a catch to tie the game up at 7. We skip to the final 40 seconds of the first half. Chicago punting it back to Philadelphia, and they'll have a chance for some points as it's brought back across midfield. 29 seconds left in the half. Lewis throws down the middle, has Mitchell, breaks away from Jolivet, and they're not going to catch him as he scores to give them the lead before the half. We now skip to the second half. Philadelphia still up by a touchdown, but they're punting it back towards the Bears. McQuarters will have a chance on the return, brings it to midfield. Vince Young looking to tie the game back up. Third down over the middle to Booker. Following play, they go to the ground. Houston takes it wide, has the first, tackled at the 22. Nearing the red zone, feeling pressure, has Terrell at the 10. First and goal, they don't run it. Great protection to the end zone, and Marty Booker makes the catch to tie the game back up. A minute left in the third quarter. Philadelphia with the ball. Lewis to Mitchell at the 45. Following play, they continue to stick to the air. Lewis to Pinkston in double coverage to get across midfield. We're now at the start of the fourth quarter. Staley takes it for 5 yards. Third down, can Chicago force a field goal? Lewis has Reed for the first. 4 minutes left in the game. Lewis in the pocket, throws. Pinkston short of the first. Second and 1. I don't know what the camera guy is doing. To the end zone, touchdown and somehow got that in to retake the lead. Chicago was unable to get anything going. They still have all 3 timeouts, and they're going to let their defense try to get them the ball back. Philadelphia's next drive will start at midfield. First play of the drive, handoff, Reed, tackle near the first. 2nd and 1, they snap it before the 2-minute warning and they get the first. It's now 3rd down, needing 7. Staley tackled short, but animation domination gets them the first. And that's how this game would end. Young continues to prove that he can't win when all eyes are on him, but the blame can't be all on him. The secondary made it seem like McNabb was never injured. Lewis turned this defense into toast. Still not a bad year for a team with a rookie quarterback and their starting running back out. From here on out in the series, I will not be exporting any more players. They'll all be computer generated anyways. Let's start the offseason. We had 0 retirements this season. I'll be skipping the rookie scouting onto re-signings. Santana Moss was a depth signing. He gone. Same with Snoop Minnis. He gone. Ben Hartsock, not a very good tight end. He gone. Max Starks did improve. He's been the backup swing tackle. Had decent playing time this past season. He's coming back. Keith Traylor is in his twilight years. Even then, he's still really good. 20 sacks the past 2 seasons. He's coming back for 1 more year. Roosevelt Colvin, similar to Brian Urlacher last year, it's a no-brainer. He's coming back. Armand Satchel was brought back as depth, but he gone. Lance Mitchell, he's not needed. He gone. Michael Jolivet, he's our best corner, didn't have the best year, gave up that big play in the playoffs, but he's coming back. Jerry Azuma, on the other hand, Watkins will take his spot. He gone. Mike Brown had a career year last season. It makes 0 sense to move on. He's coming back. We have a different Daddy Magic at punter. Sure, he's coming back for 1 more year. Off to free agency, there was not a lot of big names this year. Culpepper sat out the entire season last year, regressed. McGahee is the 2nd best player available. No surprise, I skipped. Moving on to the NFL draft, I selected a defensive tackle in the first, trying to get ahead of Traylor's retirement. In the 2nd round, wide receiver, Booker is on a contract year and I don't know if I'm going to keep him. Now, I don't know if the Madden generated draft was worse, but the quality sure did drop after the 2nd round. I could have just selected the wrong players though. Vince Young ended up having a huge boost to his overall rating, which means I'm going less run heavy, but we'll see. Anthony Thomas is still really good. That's one of the reasons why I don't want to stop being run heavy. The problem is injuries with this scheme. Houston is already out for the first 5 weeks. McCarthy did improve at fullback. I'm not going to trade Marty Booker. Out of respect to him, I'm going to honor the contract and let him hit free agency. I do want to get younger at receiver. Mercedes Lewis continues to improve. I think he'll be Young's favorite safety blanket. Once again, Robertson, Colombo are the starters at left and right tackle. Rex Tucker at left guard. Olin Kreutz at center. Mike Gandy is no longer elite at left guard. I did draft a right tackle, but he's never going to see the field. J.R. Blackburn is still the only left end. He will continue to be the backup to Square. Neal at right end. I do feel much more confident in Lindsey and Howell taking over when Traylor retires. Roosevelt Colvin at left outside linebacker. Brian Urlacher at middle linebacker. Warwick Holdman right outside linebacker. Jolivet and McQuarters at corner, but I do plan on Watkins in hand to eventually take over at this position. Floyd at free safety. McLean back to 70. Brown at strong safety. Warner might be pushing for the job in a year or two. I didn't change the game plan much. Slightly less running. I still want to grind Thomas into dust, but I also want to be a bit more aggressive. Same on defense. Slightly less pass defense. Slightly more aggressive. And like last year, Young won the home opener. They even started 3-0. I mean, the competition wasn't really that tough. Then they lost 2 straight. Roosevelt Colvin is out for the season. Kreutz for 2 weeks. Thomas for half the year. Now, I seriously thought about trading Marty Booker for a running back, but I'm sticking to my word. Besides, Houston is fully healthy now, we'll rely on him the rest of the year. We're now 3-4 on the year, losing 4 straight. We got back above 500 with a win against the Lions and Eagles. Then we lost to the Chris Sims Panthers, but we did break even with the Packers. Then we lost 3 straight, had a primetime win against the Broncos to go 7-8. There are 6 teams that are 7-8, so you're telling me there's a chance. We finished the year 8-8 after eliminating Washington, earning a non-losing season, but not a playoff berth. The 6-10 Cardinals had us fooled. They even fooled the Panthers. They beat them in the wild card. Vince Young did throw the ball more, but at the same time, less touchdowns, more interceptions. He did run more on the ground. I may have to tone down the aggressiveness in the game plan next year. I think it's clear that we should move on from Thomas. This is his second year that he's been injured. We need a more reliable back. Marty Booker picked up his stock before heading into free agency. Mercedes Lewis was the second best receiver. It's time to move on from Tucker. He had another bad season. Urlacher once again led in tackles. Holdman, the only other player over 100. He had a great year, led in sacks again. I feel more confident now in Lindsey replacing Traylor. Urlacher led in interceptions. The secondary struggled in forcing turnovers. It's also time to move on from Edinger. I think we're going to have to do a small blow up on the offense. Defensively, there's no reason to change anything. We do need to fix our turnover issues. Let's start the offseason. There is one retirement, Keith Traylor. We knew he was leaving, but he was still very productive even at the end of his career. On to re-signings, Corey Paz. Once you're 26 years old in this game, if you don't see playing time, you regress quickly. That's what happened to Paz. He gone. Anthony Thomas has been banged up the past 2 seasons. He's regressed and wants $8 million. I did say I was going to move on from him. Problem is, Chris Houston also regressed. I had planned on him taking over, but he also wants half of what Thomas wanted. I ended up re-signing Thomas, opting for a more talented player. That means Houston, he gone. Chris Perry had a touchdown in that one playoff game, but hasn't done much. He gone. We are honoring our word. Marty Booker will be off to free agency. Rex Tucker has been very hit or miss recently, giving up more than 10 sacks in 4 of the last 5 seasons. I think it's time to move on. He gone. Olin Kreutz, it's not even an argument. He's coming back. Mike Gandy did improve, not elite. I had planned on moving on from him if he regressed. He didn't. He's coming back. Leroy Ambush did play a substantial amount due to Colvin getting injured, but wasn't that great. He gone. Danny Quinn is a decent backup to Urlacher, but his price was too high for me. He gone. Warwick Holdman has been surprisingly good the past 2 seasons, but he is getting up there in age. I'm bringing him back under a 1-year deal. Reggie Waddell is way down the depth. He's not good. He gone. Anthony Floyd took a step back after having a career high in interceptions. He barely managed 1. He gone. Paul Edinger has been very mid for an elite player. He gone. Daddy Magic is still elite, and after this past career year, he's coming back off to free agency. There were quite a lot of elite players this season. Justin Smith was a player that I ended up having interest in, but chose to pass on him. I skipped free agency, and the Bills went all out signing everyone. Moving on to the NFL draft, with Rex Tucker gone, I drafted his replacement in the first. Then in the second round, I went wide receiver. I'm hoping that the receivers develop well enough that I can focus on passing next year. I also think this draft class went way better. Once again, I went to free agency to pick up depth players, and Mir Fisk was available. He was the second overall pick in the draft. Unfortunately, this game has an issue of players in the first round going unsigned. I will not be taking advantage of that. Vince Young did drop a point after the preseason. I did sit him out. Turns out players that are 26 years old can still regress during that time. Good to know. I did re-sign Thomas to 2 more seasons. I will be transitioning to a more pass-happy offense during that time. McCarthy continues to improve at fullback. I do plan on trading David Terrell and letting the younger receivers get more playtime this season. I just need to wait for him to get healthy. Mercedes Lewis is now in the 80s. As usual, Robertson, Colombo are the starting tackles. We don't have a starting left guard. Olin recruit, still the center. Mike Gandy is the right guard. Villarreal will start at left guard, while Page will sit and develop this year. Graham is the backup right tackle. Blackburn doesn't seem to be anything more than a backup. Neal and Square will start at the ends, making me regret not going after Justin Smith. Lindsey and Howell will both be starting at defensive tackle. Colvin was injured earlier last year. Rogers was drafted because of that. Urlacher at middle linebacker. Holdman is out for the first 5 weeks. That's why I drafted Rogers. He'll be starting till he returns. Jolivet and McQuarters at corner. Watkins is slowly improving. McLean will start at free safety. I did sign undrafted rookie Valentine, who I did want to draft in the 7th round, but passed on him for McCrary. Mike Brown could be on his way out with Warner improving. We are becoming more balanced on offense. We did tone down the aggressiveness, but next year I'll be more pass focused. I also didn't touch the defense. For the 3rd consecutive year, Vince Young won the season opener. This also means we can trade away a healthy David Terrell. I sent him to Indianapolis for Ratliff and a 4th round pick. We could use a better corner than McQuarters, plus the Colts now have a receiver above 80 overall on the team. Then I decided to trade McQuarters away, packaged him with the Colts 4th for Jola and a 3rd. Jola will now be the 3rd receiver on the team behind Mills and Forrest. We then won the 2nd game of the year, our 3rd year starting 2-0, but Roosevelt Colvin is out for the year. It's time to move on from him. I went back to Indianapolis interested in J.R. Zawerski. I gave them the Steelers' 3rd round pick. He will be starting in place of Colvin, and Rogers will be playing until Holdman is healthy. Didn't slow us down. We're now 3-0 for the 2nd straight year, but lost a close one to the Indianapolis Colts. We then won 3 straight games to go 6-1, lost to the Chris Sims-led Panthers. Again, we've now lost Neal and Zawerski for a month, still able to beat the Packers to go 7-2, lost 4 straight games. During that time, we lost starting left guard Villarreal for a month. We also lost starting right tackle Colombo for a week. We did snap the losing streak against the 49ers. The team is still in the wild card hunt, but lost the final 2 games to finish the year 8-8. Similar to last year, finished 6th in the standings but missed the playoffs thanks to Seattle this time. Despite passing more, Vince Young didn't put up more yards. His touchdowns were down, but more importantly, his interceptions were down. It was a good idea to bring back Thomas, but we are going to be more pass heavy next year. Don't expect him back after that season, possibly even traded next season. I think we have a good foundation with Mills, Forrest, and Lewis, possibly even Jola being a good option in the receiving game. Marty Booker was okay in Buffalo, but similar numbers to when Vince Young took over. David Terrell had a better season with the Sheriff in Indianapolis, even went to the Super Bowl, but they lost to Philadelphia. The offensive line was okay, but I do think the sacks will go higher and higher when we pass more. Urlacher once again led in tackles. Holdman was right behind him despite missing 5 games. Neal led in sacks, and he also missed a few games. Holdman was behind him. Howell and Lindsey have been very solid. Urlacher led in interceptions again. Jolivet, Ratliff, and Watkins all had 3. McQuarters did what he always does every other year, get 4 interceptions. The rookie Hudson had a solid season considering he did as well as Edinger. It's now time to hand the keys over to Vince Young and see if it'll work out. The defense will not be touched. They're still very good. We still need to lower the turnovers. Let's start the offseason. Des White has called it a career, 10-year pro, and he's barely 30. He hardly saw the field the last 2 seasons. I did want to show that Rex Grossman had a career-ending injury, had a solid 3-year stretch, but it looks like he could never stay healthy. On to re-signings. Brent Kemp, backup quarterback. I initially wanted to bring him back, but it would have been under a 1-year deal since he's 26. He'll most likely regress, plus he did have a season-ending injury. He gone. Emergency quarterback Chad couldn't hack it. He gone. Anthony Richards, 3rd string back, would have been more expensive than Brandon. He gone. Akeem Jola was not traded for just to let walk in free agency. I believe he can contribute to this offense. He's coming back. Mercedes Lewis is our most important receiver. He's coming back. I do like to reward production over ratings. That's why I let Tucker go. Robertson has been solid the past 2 years. He's coming back. We are going to pass more. We need Young upright, and Colombo has been fantastic the past 3 years. He's coming back. Terry Davis was signed when all the guards were dropping like flies. He is a pass blocker. Urlacher was okay when forced to play. He's coming back. That means we no longer need left guard number 60 as emergency depth. He gone. Andrew H. Kennan is the backup to Kreutz. He's hardly seen the field. I don't know how good he really is, but he's coming back. Chris Villarreal has done his job, was a solid stopgap until Page developed enough to take over. He gone. Carlton Neal is the best defensive lineman we have, had his best season last year with 10 sacks. He's coming back. John Square is the other starting defensive end, but he seems to be nothing more than a jag. He gone. Alex Brown is the emergency depth. Somehow saw the field over Blackburn. He gone. Roosevelt Colvin is still elite despite 2 season-ending injuries. It's time to move on. He gone. Brian Urlacher needs a new contract. Brian Urlacher is getting a new contract. I really like Warwick Holdman. He's been very productive. He's also been injured. He's also 34, and we have Zawierski. He gone. Mike Brown continues to regress. He's been lackluster the past 2 seasons. Warner is itching to take over. He gone. Off to free agency. Once again, there were a lot of good players, but none for positions that I needed. I skipped. Moving on to the NFL draft, our first round pick was a defensive end to replace John Square. I also wanted to show the top 2 picks were overrated in my opinion. No rookie should be over an 80 overall. They haven't proven anything yet. This was another draft class minus the quarterback that we did pretty well in. Vince Young had a whopping 1-point improvement to his rating. I wonder if team success has an impact on it since his biggest ratings boost was after they made the playoffs. I did sign veteran Drew Brees as his backup. This will be Anthony Thomas's final year with the team at running back since we are trying to pivot to a more pass-happy offense. McCarthy is close to improving into the 80s. The lack of improvement at wide receiver does have me worried for this season. Can they prove to me that we don't need to sign or trade for a big name next year? I do think this will be Mercedes Lewis's best year with the team. As usual, Robertson and Colombo at left and right tackle. Terry Davis is the emergency guard. Olin Kreutz at center. Gandy at right guard. Page at left. Lane's the backup. Graham is the emergency tackle. Blackburn will be the backup defensive end. We're only carrying 3 defensive ends. Neal and Miller will be the starters. Lindsey and Howell at defensive tackle. Rogers had a huge improvement. He'll be replacing Colvin. Urlacher at middle linebacker. Zawierski will be taking over Holdman. He's proven that he can be a solid starter. Ratliff, Jolivet, and Watkins at corner. Walt Pete will be a surprise starter at free safety. I drafted him in the 7th round as emergency depth. McLean has had a rough start to his career. Warner now takes over like I thought he would when I drafted him. We are going more pass happy this year, still conservative, but defensively speaking, we're going to be more aggressive. For the first time in his career, Vince Young lost the home opener. The team did alternate wins and losses, going 2-2 in the first month of the year, and then the bottom fell off and they had 2 rough home losses. We'll also be without Young for 2 games after the bye week, but Drew Brees won back-to-back games, getting the team back to 500, but now he's out with an injury. There could be a quarterback controversy with how poorly Young performed. He did have a statement win in his first game back, but he'll now be without his best target, Lewis, for the rest of the year. Then the team would beat the division leader, Detroit. After starting 2-4, they managed to win 6 straight, but the injuries are beginning to mount. Didn't slow them down to earn their first 9-win season with 3 games to go. Chicago is 3rd in the conference. They're looking playoff bound. They collapsed and lost out to finish the year, but they still barely made it into the playoffs. Vince Young performed better when he returned, but I don't think we'll ever be able to control his turnover issues. Drew Brees did spark this offense. I'll be interested to see if he returns next year. Anthony Thomas's final year with the team, over 1,000 yards despite the lack of carries. I do think because we don't have a true number 1 that the passing yards were distributed evenly. We'll see if next year any of these players take a leap in development. I was expecting more sacks given up, but overall the offensive line didn't perform terribly. Urlacher, like usual, led in tackles. Surprisingly, Lindsey was 2nd on the team. The rookie first round pick, Miller, led the team in sacks. Zawierski was tied with him. Looks like my gamble on trading for him paid off. Even Blackburn had a good year. year. Michael Jolivet led the team in interceptions. Rogers, who isn't a great tackler, had 4. Nobody else had more than that. Hudson also had a similar year at kicking. I think being conservative is holding this passing game back. Defensively, top 3 in the NFL, keeping it the same. We can't stop being in the bottom half of turnovers. I think next year we're going aggressive. The team fell backwards into the playoffs, and it'll be a Texas Longhorn matchup between Vince Young from Chicago and Chris Sims from Carolina. He had a pretty decent career with the Panthers, his best year coming when he got injured, and hasn't reached that peak since. It's been a few years since Chicago has been in the playoffs, and today it'll be a meeting of 2 former teammates and Longhorn starting quarterbacks, Chris Sims and Vince Young, facing off against each other for the first time in the playoffs. Young has never beaten Sims in the NFL. He's currently 0-2 against him, and the Panthers have a secret weapon in Mike Brown in their secondary. Can Young get his first win against his predecessor? Let's find out. We'll get a chance to see if he's improved over the 3 years under pressure, but has Jola near the first. It's now 3rd and 1, pitch, Thomas right side, just gets it. It was already announced that this will be his final year in Chicago. Mills with a catch. We'll see if he can help get a ring for Chicago. Takes it up the middle, he stiff arms, and there he goes. The old man still has it. This is looking like a great drive. Play action, Young, Mills at the 2. A play later, Young to the end zone. Mills with the first score in the game. I think he found his favorite target. Can Chris Sims answer back? In the pocket, the lefty going deep. Bradley makes the catch at the 40. Already in Chicago territory. Breaks the tackle and has a first, and Urlacher chases him down inside the 20. From the 14, they keep it on the ground. Foster pumps up the kicks for a gain of 5. 2nd down, they bring the blitz. It's picked up. Bradley with the catch at the 1. It's now the start of the 2nd quarter, and Foster goes in untouched to tie it up at 7. We skip to the final 2 minutes of the half. Sims to Halterman, gain of 8. It's now 3rd and 4. Foster takes it right, stiff arms, and gets the first. They hurry up, back to the line. Sims, Thorpe with the catch and first. There's still plenty of time. Carolina knows it. Foster with the carry for 7. It's now 3rd and 2. Sims throws, and Chicago just got torpedoed. Crafonzo Thorpe gives them the lead. Half still not over, 1 minute to go, and a perfectly placed ball for Forrest. Following play, quick drop. McCarty loses his helmet, but he held on to the ball, but at what cost? It's now 3rd down, corner blitz. McCarthy can't hold on, and it's picked off. Deion Grant was at the right place at the right time. Carolina now has a chance to extend their lead. To the sideline, Thorpe with the catch. They're now in Chicago territory. Sims with plenty of time. Throws. Bradley with the first. 29 seconds in the half. Sims has been getting too comfortable with his blocking, but Howell gets to him this time. Longhorn on Longhorn violence. They run the clock down to 1 second. Vanderjagt out to make it a 10-point game before the half, and a kiss. We now skip to the 2nd half. Thomas on a sweep, left side, has room, tackled near the first. 3rd and inches, they're not going to run. Young hit as he throws. Forrest with the catch. These young receivers have been a pleasant surprise. Following play, they go back to the ground. Thomas powers through for a gain of 8. 2nd down, they're going to throw. Young down the middle. Thomas, they have a chance to cut the lead to 3. Young to the end zone. Mills with the catch. Rumble, young man, rumble. Carolina looking to run the clock off his back foot. Ziegler with the first. A play later, blitz gets picked up. Sims to Thorpe, tackled at the 25. Sims is showing why he should have been in the national championship game. Following play, pitch, and it's snuffed out by Neal. Start of the 4th, free rusher, doesn't matter. Thorpe with the catch. He's been torching this secondary. From the 13, they're going to throw to the flat. Askew has room, but can't get the first. 3rd and 3, Urlacher blows up the play, Sims had to run with it. Carolina will now force Chicago to score a touchdown to win the game. Panthers have it again after a 3-and-out, Foster with the carry. We're at the 2-minute warning, back to Foster gets the first. They now face a 3rd down. Askew shakes off a tackle, but it's Miller time, the first-round rookie making the play. Chicago will have one last chance. A minute left in the game. Mills with the catch. A play later, from the shotgun, great protection, going deep, back to Mills. 28 seconds left. Young going back to Mills, and he makes the catch, tackled inside the 10. They don't have any more timeouts left. Tick, 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 tick. Running back to the line to spike it, and they'll have 10 seconds left. They'll still have a chance for a few plays here. Great protection, throws, knocked away. Is this going to end in a banger? 5 seconds to make yourself famous, kid. To the end zone, and Thomas, hold on! Chicago is going to win! Chicago is going to win! Now they still need to make the extra point, but there's only 1 second left. It's all but over. Anything is possible, you never know. Steve Smith on the return from the 10, and it's over. Nobody who ever gave their best has ever regretted it, and today Vince Young gave his best to earn his first playoff win and first victory over Chris Sims. Chicago is now moving on to the divisional round. Typically, after an emotional last-second win, the following week tends to be a squash. Well, the Detroit Lions, who, mind you, were swept by the Bears this year, and since the drafting of Young, both teams are tied 4-all against each other. Who breaks the tie? Let's find out. Chicago will also start this game with the ball, and on the first play, sacked. That sets up a 3rd and long. Young, deep, Mills with a catch in traffic. Last week, Mills became Young's favorite target. Today, it looks to be the same near the 30. The Bears are coming out strong on this drive. Screen to Thomas, who had the touchdown to win the game last week. That sets up a 2nd and 2. They're going to throw. Jola with a catch in first. They're now inside the red zone. Young, pressured, has Mills inside the 5. From the 3, they hand it off to Thomas and stopped short. A play later, needing a no card, to the end zone, knocked away, and the defense makes the stop. The shortest possible field goal to give Chicago the lead, 3-0. We now skip to the start of the second quarter. Detroit is punting it away, still 3-0, and Chicago will have a chance to add to their lead. They start at midfield, thanks to the return by Forrest, who makes the catch and tackled short. That sets up a 3rd and 2. Thomas up the middle and gets the first. A play later, the offensive line collapses, but Forrest makes a diving catch. These young guys have been showing up in the playoffs. That catch makes it a more manageable 3rd, and Thomas can't get the first, setting up a 47-yard field goal, and Hudson is right down the middle to make it 6-0. Another 3-and-out by Detroit will give Chicago the ball back. Their defense has been doing their job. The offense, not so much. Under 2 minutes left in the half, Young throws on the move, Mills with a catch. That puts them near field goal range. Thomas on the carry gets a block in the first. Over a minute left in the half, great protection. Young drops it in the bucket to Mills. A play later, they give it to Thomas, shakes off a tackle, a second, spins, a 3rd, and it's a fumble. Recovered by Detroit, but they call it a safety. That will put Chicago up 8-0, and they'll have another chance to add on to their lead before the half ends. Forrest on the return near midfield. 37 seconds left. Young to McCarty, who had a drop that led to an interception last week. He gets them on the edge of field goal range. Another 3rd down, 23 seconds left. Young to Thomas at the sticks. Add on another 5 for a face mask. 15 seconds left. Detroit brings the blitz. Young hit as he throws. Forrest gets them the first. With 9 seconds left, they opt to kick the field goal to make it 11-0 going into the half. We start the second half with Detroit. Greg Jones breaks away from Ratliff near the first. 2nd and 2, they go back to Jones, and he gets it this time. They now face a third down. Harrington with time finds Bobby Wade. Another third down, play action, Harrington to Cooper Wallace. Their third down on the drive. Harrington goes back to Wallace. Chicago has no answers. Detroit has used up the entire third quarter. Jones dances his way near the first. Final play of the third, Harrington to the end zone. Darnay Brown snatches it away, and it's not over yet. Can Chicago finally find a way to get into the end zone? Young is picked off, and it feels like it's all falling apart. Walton sitting in the flat, and Young never saw him. Detroit can take the lead here. Howell bringing pressure, and Harrington finds Wade and gets the first. It really does feel like the momentum has shifted, and Harrington is picked off. Joe Levette might have saved Chicago's season. Over 4 minutes remain in the game. Young to Mills near the first. 3rd and inches, they go to Thomas, and the old man gets it. Following play, Young is pressured immediately but connects with Forrest. We're now at the 2-minute warning, running out the clock. Thomas stumbles, staying upright, and gets the first into Detroit territory. Just over a minute in the game, McCarthy can't get the first, and that's Detroit's final timeout. They bring out Hudson to make it a 7-point game, 52 yards, and it's wide right. Detroit has a chance to win it here. Harrington laid out by Howell. Wallace makes the catch, and there's nobody around. Joe Levette slowed him down. This isn't good. Harrington is on the ground. The backup Jenkins is in. They pick up the blitz, going deep and almost picked off by Warner. 2nd down, low snap. Jenkins throws. Knocked away by Pete. 3rd down, Jenkins panics, throws, and too high for his guy. It all comes down to this play. Jenkins throws and dropped by Jones. And that means Chicago is 1 game away from the Super Bowl. After going up 11-0, they almost had a second half collapse, and if it wasn't for possibly a dirty hit by Howell on Harrington, they might have lost. Chicago now won all 3 matchups this season against Detroit. I don't think anyone saw this coming. I'm not even sure the Bears saw it coming, but they're knocking at the door of the Super Bowl. In order to get in, they have to knock down the 49ers, the team who ended Chicago's 7-game win streak and caused the collapse at the end of the year. Young will be facing off against a familiar foe, Jason Fife. If that sounds familiar, it's because he's the first person Young faced in his first ever bowl game. Does he play spoiler again? Let's find out. We start this one towards the end of the first quarter, scoreless game, and Fife is picked off by none other than Joe Levette. That interception is now his 8th on the year and sets them up in the red zone. Chicago wouldn't get into the end zone, kicking a field goal for the first points in the game. The Bears offense has been struggling to score points. They weren't able to get into the end zone last week, and it seems like those woes continue this week as Jeff Kirk avoids a tackle, and there he goes. Across midfield, Urlacher chased him from behind. Already in field goal range, they keep it on the ground. Chris Brown stiff arms Urlacher near the first. Only needing a yard, pitch left side, has a blocker, but Joe Levette makes the tackle, and the fumble was overturned. From the 12, Fife going to throw, has Kirk at the 5. Face mask makes it 3rd and 1. Can Chicago make the stop? Pitch, and Joe Levette makes the tackle behind the line, and he's been having a monster game. So the 49ers will kick the field goal to tie it all up at 3. We're now in the final 2 minutes of the half. Chicago's ball, Kelly with the catch. They rush back to the line, high snap, 3rd and inches, Young, Jola for the first. They face another 3rd down, over a minute left in the half. Young, Thomas holds on. They're now near midfield. Young, great protection to the sideline, and they say it's caught. It was reviewed. They say he somehow got both feet down. I don't know, must have dragged his foot right there. That puts them at the 34 on the edge of field goal range. Young back to Forrest, and he holds on. A few plays later, pitch, and it's a fumble. Thomas couldn't handle it, and it stays tied at 3 going into the half. We start the second half, 49ers ball, Fife to Millard for the first on 3rd. A play later, Blitzer gets picked up. Fife goes back to Millard. They're now at the Chicago 40, play action, Fife to Kirk for 16. They now face another third down on the drive to the end zone. Ratliff knocks it out of Kirk's hands. This 40-yard kick by Anderson to give the 49ers the first lead in the game. Chicago unable to do anything with it. 49ers have it again, and this face mask gets them across midfield. Chicago hasn't done anything this quarter, just like last week against Detroit. Millard with a catch. San Francisco now faces a third down on the drive to the flat. Not even close. Anderson is 2 for 2 on the day, this to make it a 1-touchdown game. We're now at the start of the fourth quarter. Play action. Young has the rookie Davis, who's rumbling past the first to the 41. Following play, free rusher Young throws a wobbler to Forrest. That puts them across midfield. Another blitz. Young throws. Forrest again. Looks like the defense will need to pay more attention to Forrest, but when you do that, you leave this man open. Mills takes it in to give Chicago a 1-point lead. Is this turning into a banger? Fife with time, throws, and it's picked off by Jolivet. Takes it inside the 20. Chicago has a chance to make it an 8-point lead. Thomas inside the 10. Following play, they go back to Thomas, finds room inside the 5. 2 minutes left in the game. Thomas left side, stonewalled at the 1. Can they make it a touchdown lead? McCarty can't get in, but the 49ers have one timeout left. A field goal still forces the 49ers to score a touchdown. It's now a 4-point game. San Francisco has just over a minute. Third down. Kirk gets away from Ratliff across midfield to the 35. They rush back to the line. A minute to go. Fife with time to the end zone. Ratliff knocks it down. 35 seconds left. Fife to the sideline. Can't keep his feet in bounds. This is for the game. Free rusher. Fife. Paulding, it ain't over yet. 49ers call a timeout with 19 seconds left. From the 14, corner blitz, Fife throws, Kirk to the 2. Remember, the 49ers don't have any more timeouts. They're rushing back to the line. Tick, 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 tick. And they spike it with 3 seconds left for the game. Fife to the end zone, knocked away, and there's 1 second left. Who goes to the Super Bowl? We'll find out in a second. Play action in the pocket to the end zone and dropped. It looked like two 49ers got in front of each other. Miscommunication will cause the Chicago Bears to move on to the Super Bowl. It took a last-minute drive by Young, an injury to Joey Harrington, and a last-second miscommunication to allow Chicago to return to the Super Bowl. 4 years ago, Jim Miller retired and Chicago drafted Vince Young 13th overall. He's now 20 minutes away from potentially winning his first Super Bowl. He wasn't able to win a national championship in Texas, but this run might be the one that removes the moniker of being a choke artist. It's been a magical run so far for Chicago, almost as if they're invincible. Let's find out if they really are. Let's get it on. The Ravens start this one. Lewis has room past the first to the 30. A play later, they bring the blitz. Banks gets rid of it deep, and Roy Williams, the former Texas alumni, has one guy to beat, tackled into the end zone, and what a way to start this one. Chicago would immediately go 3-and-out, giving the ball back to the Ravens. Johnston will be back on the return from his own 42 across midfield to Chicago's 42. Already in good position to add to their lead. Banks going deep left side and knocked out by Jolivet, but Banks is injured. He'll be out for the rest of this drive. That means Derek Anderson, yes, that Anderson is in on third and finds Williams for the first. They face another third down, low snap. Anderson with all day to throw. Look at that blocking. Going deep and caught by the fullback. You don't expect a big man like him to be a deep threat. Second and goal, play action, and they finally get pressure. Third and goal, this time they do give it to Lewis and stopped behind the line. Defense does their job to force a field goal, and Baltimore is now up 10-0. We skip to the final 2 minutes of the half. Banks is back in for Baltimore. Chicago hasn't been able to do anything on offense, and Banks finds Heap for the first. Following play, Banks moves to his right, going deep, and there he is again, the big man with the catch. Baltimore faces another third down on the drive and a wide open Williams to extend the drive. 1 minute left in the half. Banks throws Langford with a catch. That puts them at the 11. Great protection. Banks to the end zone. Jolivet knocks it down. He's been having a great run. Following play, Banks short heap with space, stiff arms, and tackled in, but there's a flag. Holding on the offense. That would eventually set up a 3rd and 17. Banks back to Heap, but not even close. The Ravens run the clock down and kick this field goal to make it 13-0 going into the half, and it feels like the boyhood dream is turning into a nightmare for Vince Young and the Chicago Bears. They will have the ball to start the second half, and Young is launching it deep. Jola with the catch. This is already their best drive, facing a 3rd down. McCarty is short, but incidental face mask gets them the first. They're getting into field goal range. Young to Jola near the first. Following play to draw, Thomas powers for the first. A play later, they go back to Thomas, left side, and gets into the red zone. Another 3rd down, Thomas up the middle and powers to the 10. It's now 3rd and goal to keep the boyhood dream alive, and Mills comes down with it. This kid has been having a terrific playoff run, and it's not over yet. We're now at the start of the 4th quarter, 3rd down, Taylor with the first. Baltimore is looking to put this game away on this drive. Banks is picked off by Ratliff. He gave up that big touchdown on the first drive, but he's redeemed himself here. Now it feels like Chicago has all the momentum. Young to McCarty for a 1st on 3rd. We're now at the 2-minute warning, 3rd down to the end zone, and Forrest comes down with it. Chicago has gone all in on these two young bucks, and it's paying off today. This extra point will give Chicago the lead for the first time in this game. There's still 2 minutes to go. It ain't over yet. Banks to Langford. It's now 3rd down from the shotgun. Banks to Travis Taylor, bobbled but takes it to midfield. Just over a minute in the game, pressure in his face. Banks to Langford. It's now 3rd down. Chicago needs to make the stop. Cannon is met at the sticks, but short. 47 seconds left in the game. This kick to give Baltimore a 2-point lead. Every quarterback dreams of a game-winning drive, and McCarty isn't helping. This is how legends are made. Can Young get them into field goal range? Going deep and overthrew his guy. The game comes down to this. Young in the pocket. Buying time, throws off balance, and it's caught! They still have 1 timeout, but they're going to spike it instead, and they'll have 11 seconds to work with. All they need is 15 yards. Young hit as he throws, and it looked like the defender twisted his leg, and now Young is injured. That means Drew Brees is in the game, 5 seconds left, and it falls incomplete. 3 seconds left, and this might be the biggest what-if scenario in NFL history. Going deep and knocked away. That's how this game ends. Chicago had a game-winning drive in the wild card, but if it wasn't for an injury to Harrington in the divisional round, they wouldn't be here. The ball don't lie, and it came back to haunt them. A potentially dirty hit on Young cost them a chance at a Lombardi in the final seconds. There's always next year. So let's start the offseason. We have 2 retirements this season. Drew Brees is calling it a career. When he was on Seattle, I considered having them draft Young. That was the last time he saw major play time. Reggie Wayne also retired, never became anything more than a solid 3rd receiver for the first half of his career. On to re-signings. This is Vincent Young's first contract negotiation since his rookie contract, and he wants 5 times more than what he was originally getting. He did take the team to the Super Bowl. He had a pretty good playoff run, and if it wasn't for an injury, they might have won the Super Bowl. Is he better than when he was first drafted? Yes. Do his stats reflect that? No, but he's coming back. We agreed we're not bringing back Anthony Thomas. We're not bringing him back. He played well his final 2 seasons, but he gone. I don't really put too much stock in fullbacks, but McCarty is coming back. Kendall Davis was the backup tight end, signed when Lewis went down, hardly saw the field. He gone. Mike Gandy had been flirting in and out of elite status for a while, but with 2 young guys behind him, it's time. He gone. Andrew Henry is the backup defensive tackle. He'd be more expensive than Howell. He gone. gone. I'm disappointed Zawierski didn't improve more. He did have a solid season. He's coming back. Michael Jolivet, this isn't even an argument. After the performance he had in the playoffs, he's coming back. Mike Valentine has been pushed out. He gone. Daddy Magic is still elite. He's going to be here until he retires. Off to free agency, I was interested in Terrence Newman. He sat out last season, which dropped his ratings, but that just means he'll be cheaper. Pittsburgh countered our offer, but I was eventually able to sign him. Moving on to the NFL draft, in the first round, I drafted Anthony Thomas's replacement. We had a solid draft class. I mainly drafted best player available, but once I got to the final 2 rounds, the quality of players dropped. Vince Young hasn't improved much. I don't know if the game has a hidden potential rating. I don't know if it's based on production, but if it is, it makes sense. I know it's not based on team success. Lance Strong will be the starter at running back, but the ground game will be taking a backseat this season. McCarty is stuck at 79. Somewhat disappointed that none of the receivers are in the 80s yet. Jola did have a season-ending injury, and his career here is pretty much over. Mercedes Lewis did regress, but that was mostly due to an injury. Robertson and Colombo are the starting tackles. Starks regressed. Both Davis and Heward are the backup guards. Kreutz at center. Dixon, the rookie, will be the backup. Page and Lane will be the starting guards. Graham, the emergency tackle. Blackburn is the backup defensive end. Neal and Miller as the starters. Disappointed that Miller isn't in the 80s. Lindsey and Howell continue to be the defensive tackles. Rogers hardly improved at left outside linebacker. Urlacher at middle linebacker. Zawierski at right outside linebacker. We have a lot of corners, but mainly Newman, Jolivet, Ratliff, and Watkins will play. Sneaky Pete got into the 80s. Warner is still struggling to get there. With 2 receivers on the injury list, I went to make a trade. I was interested in Mitch Stubbs from Jacksonville, traded a 3rd round pick for a new number 3 receiver. As I said earlier, we're going pass heavy. We're also going super aggressive. I didn't touch the defense. For the 2nd year in a row, we lost a home opener. We also lost Olin Kreutz for half the year. Good thing I drafted that rookie in the 2nd round. We did bounce back and beat a winless Vikings team. Then we dropped 3 straight games, had our 2nd win against a losing team in Philadelphia. We're 3-5 at the halfway point, sweeping the Vikings, who aren't above 500 anymore. Sneaky Pete is now out for the year after a loss to the Falcons. Won 4 straight games, all to teams who weren't above 500 after facing them. We are now 1 game down from the division lead. We would lose out for the 3rd straight year, all against 10-win teams. We never beat a team above 500 besides Minnesota. I'm thinking we might have to go back to being conservative in the air because the risk is not worth the reward. Young had a career high of 13 touchdowns and 29 interceptions. Might as well have just started Krenzel, who looked more impressive in this offense. The running game was way worse than I thought it would be. I expected at least 700 yards on the ground. Should I abandon the run? The receivers are not great, but they have potential. The Young Bucks led the entire group. Mercedes led in touchdowns. Stubbs was okay, but was he worth a 3rd? Blocking was terrible. Everyone averaged about 10 sacks. Urlacher once again led in tackles. Howell led in sacks. Right behind him was Miller. Newman, Warner, and Ratliff led in interceptions. With the offense being terrible, I think prioritizing protecting the ball will be the focus, since the defense had to constantly bail out the team. The offense was giving it away, but the defense was taking it. I also wanted to show that Chris Sims was having a career year. Took the team to the NFC Championship game, but lost to Detroit, who ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. Let's start the offseason. We didn't have any retirements, but I did want to show that Edgerrin James had over 20,000 yards on the ground. He also tied the record for rushing touchdowns. Anthony Thomas also retired in Buffalo. My headcanon is that he wanted to retire, but after his Super Bowl run, decided to return. On to re-signings. Craig Krenzel's a backup, and he performed pretty well when he had to come in and play, but he wants too much money. He gone. Sam Mills, one half of the Young Bucks, had his best season this past year. He's coming back. Akeem Jola got injured last year. He was looking like a promising piece to the team, but he gone. Roscoe Parrish was our number 4 receiver, had some decent play time last year, but easily replaceable. He gone. Jose Kelly has been our emergency receiver. He's been consistent since we drafted him, but also easily replaceable. He gone. T. Jamison is the backup tight end. He gone. Max Starks has been a serviceable backup tackle, but he's not getting enough play time to keep up his skill level. He gone. Olin Kreutz was injured this past year. Truth is, I thought about moving on, but he's still really good. He's coming back for 1 more year. A.H. Kennan, emergency center. He gone. J.R. Blackburn, I had such high expectations for him, but I just mismanaged him. He gone. Carlton Neal, starting defensive end. He's on a downward trend, but he's coming back. Sam Lindsay is holding out at defensive tackle. He's not going to have big sack numbers, but he can stop the run. He's getting a new contract. Brian Urlacher is also holding out. It's a no-brainer, but only giving him a 1-year deal. Andre Duplessis is our emergency outside linebacker. He gone. Kewan Ratliff is now our nickel corner. He had one of his best years this past season. He's coming back. Pat Watkins is a guy that I really wanted to develop. He's 6'4" and fast. He just never developed. He gone. Lester McLean is another guy who never developed like I thought he would. He gone. Another guy who hasn't developed, Troy Warner. He did have his best season this past year. He's coming back off to free agency. There were quite a few solid players, but I was interested in Anquan Bolden as our 4th receiver. He was not interested in us. We did need a backup quarterback, and Cedric French is a safe bet, but the 49ers outbid us for him. I opted to sign Kyle York. Did you hear that, Zach? York is now the backup. I was still interested in a receiver. Rashawn Woods was given an offer. He's now our 4th receiver. Moving on to the NFL draft, in the 1st round, I went receiver. Again, I just want to be prepared for injuries. The rest of the draft class was depth players. So Vince Young did not improve, which makes sense after the season he had. He didn't regress, but if he continues to struggle this season, there may be rumblings of moving on. Strong ended up improving more than I thought he would, and if the season goes poorly, I think next year we may focus on keeping the ball out of Young's hands. It might be time to move on from McCarty. He's hit his ceiling. Forrest ended up improving past Mills. Brown also improved, and he'll be starting as the number 2 receiver. Stubbs will be the number 3. Mills will be the number 4. Woods as the emergency. That injury to Mercedes Lewis derailed his career, and it looks like this is his new ceiling. Robertson and Colombo are the starting tackles, but regression has slowed Colombo down. Davis and Heward as the backups. Kreutz is the center. Page and Lane as the starting guards. Maynard and Graham as the backup tackles. 2nd round pick Gibson will be the backup defensive end. Neal and Miller are the starting defensive end. Lindsay and Howell as the defensive tackles. Rogers might have hit his ceiling. Urlacher and middle linebacker. Zawierski may have also hit his ceiling. Newman, Jolivet, and Ratliff are the starting corners. Sneaky Pete at free safety. Troy Warner, strong safety. I leveled out the game plan to be 60-40 passing. We're also going back to being careful with the ball. For the 3rd straight year, Young has lost the season opener. They did have a blowout win the following week. Maybe the offense is finally coming together. It's not coming together. They lost 2 straight, then they barely managed to beat a winless Raiders team. Then they lost 6 straight games, losing Olin Kreutz again for the year. I think his career in Chicago is over. They also lost Mercedes Lewis again. His career is done here. They did snap the losing streak against Denver, then they pulled a 3-game winning streak, then they lost out again to finish the year. Despite the 5-11 record, this was Young's best year as a starter. He seems to be much better as a quarterback when he's not being aggressive. I do find it interesting that we managed to run more. Less turnovers allow the team to hold on to the ball longer. Who knew? It looks like Brown may end up being our number 1 receiver next year. Woods was playing as the tight end when Lewis went down. He was 2nd on the team in receiving. Forrest behind him. The offensive line was not great, but Dixon looked awful. Urlacher was injured for a few weeks. He did not get over 100 tackles for the first time. Howell once again led in sacks. Neal was behind him. Lindsey was third. Urlacher did lead in interceptions. Nobody else had more than 2. The offense is still bad. The defense had a rough year, and I can't figure out why. Turnovers were a struggle this year on both sides of the ball. I did want to show that Chris Sims had another elite year with Carolina, took them to the AFC Championship game again, and won, facing off against New England in the Super Bowl, but he lost. So let's start the offseason. I wanted to point out that Randy Moss retired, and he still didn't beat Rice's records. Richmond Gutierrez had a career ender. He was the first quarterback taken in Young's draft class. Eli Manning also retired. He was a bust. Roosevelt retired after having back-to-back season-ending injuries with us. He popped off in Atlanta. Chicago didn't have any retirements. On to resignings. Did you hear that, Zach? York is not coming back. Isaiah McCarty has hit his ceiling with the team. He gone. Elijah Forrest took a step back this season, but still one of our best receivers. He's coming back. Rashawn Woods had a career resurgence here, but he's not the future. He gone. Sam Redmond was the emergency tight end. He gone. Bernard Robertson is still elite. He did have a rough year, but he was consistently good the previous years. I trust him enough to get back on track. He's coming back. Mark Colombo's no longer elite, but still very good. He's not terrible in production, and we don't have anyone better. He's coming back. Olin Kreutz was injured in back-to-back years. Like Colvin, it's time to move on. He gone. Patrick Page is closing into elite territory. He's been the starter the past 2 years and did improve. He's coming back. Jermaine Graham is the emergency tackle. Never saw the field, and that's good. He gone. Todd Howell may not be the best rated defensive tackle, but he's playing like he has been the past 2 seasons. He's coming back. Chris Rogers has been the starter the past 3 years, but his biggest weakness is tackling. He's apparently a coverage linebacker. What's he covering? He gone. Brian Urlacher earned $13 million last year on a holdout. He's a bear for life, plus he's half the cost. He's coming back. J.R. Zawierski has hit his ceiling on the team, but with Rodgers not coming back, we need someone to fill that void. He's coming back. Terrence Newman needs a new contract. We've struggled to develop corners. I think it's safer to keep established ones. He's coming back. Thomas Hand, emergency depth. He gone. Daddy Magic didn't call it a career yet, but he'll be 40 after this season. He's coming back. Off the free agency, I was immediately interested in the best player in the poll, Justin Griffith. Fullback, we need one. Gave him an offer. I was also interested in linebacker Gerard Penwright. I gave him an offer. I was also interested in cornerback Matt Ware. Seemed like a ball hawk. The last person I was interested in was Bob Sanders, strong safety. I signed them all, and as you can tell, I'm trying to beef up our defense again. Moving on to the NFL draft, I wanted Cedric Thomas, who was drafted by Miami. I ended up trading our first round pick for BJ Johnson. I'm hoping that reuniting him with Young will develop him past an 81. Washington ended up picking up the next best receiver, and not even close to Thomas. The draft class was an interesting one, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Vince Young did improve by a point, taking improvement over regression. I have high expectations for him with Johnson on the roster. Strong is now in the 80s. I'm beginning to think that we should rely a bit more on him this season. Our best success came when we had a running game. We have an elite fullback. Cancel the season. Super Bowl's already ours. Our receivers did not improve. I'm glad I made the trade for Johnson because we don't have a true number 1 on the team. Mercedes Lewis is still on the team, and now he's our main target. Robertson and Colombo are the starting tackles. Davis and Heward are the backups. Dixon was terrible last year, but he'll get another shot at center. We have Page and Lang at guard, and this is what I wanted to talk about with this draft class. Those are the same 2 guys. 3 years apart, the game is now beginning to use the same draft classes. Harris is the backup tackle. Maynard is emergency depth. Gibson will be the backup defensive end. Neal and Miller will be the starters. Lindsey and Howell at defensive tackle, good depth behind them. Doss will be starting at left outside linebacker this year. Urlacher at middle linebacker. Penwright at right outside linebacker. We know what we have in Zawierski. He'll be the backup. Ware leads all corners. You never know when an injury will happen. Sneaky Sneaky Pete at free safety, Bob Sanders at strong safety. We are going to be a bit more balanced this season on offense, but the defense will be slightly more aggressive. And we still suck. We started the year 1-5, 3 close losses, then won 5 straight. I don't know what to think of this game. Then it all fell apart. But we did finish the year with 2 wins and an 8-8 record. We weren't even close to making the playoffs this year. Someone sound the alarm. Vince Young had a good year. I repeat, Vince Young had a good year. It still wasn't great, but he's showing promise. With the help of Strong, who might improve again after this performance, next year might be a playoff push year. Johnson was 51 yards shy of 1,000 yards. He carried this passing game, and it shows how much of a difference an elite receiver can help a quarterback. I should have never let Marty Booker go. It hurt Young's development. The offensive line was way better than expected, especially Dixon. Sneaky Pete led in tackles because Urlacher got injured again. Howell has been so good the past 3 years, worth that new contract. Jolivet and Ware led in interceptions. Not many takeaways. The offense is beginning to look good. The defense had a bounce back year, but the secondary couldn't get many interceptions. Once again, Chris Sims had an elite year, took the team to the Super Bowl for a rematch and lost. Let's start the offseason. There was a big career-ending injury in Carnell Williams. Young played against Cadillac in a bowl game in college. While in Chicago, Justin Griffith retired. I was surprised. I thought we at least had 2 more years with him. On to re-signings. Ron Brandon at one point was the future, but was never anything more than a backup. He wanted too much money. He gone. Willie Mays was the emergency back. Hardly saw the field. He gone. Mitch Stubbs is the 5th and emergency receiver on the team. He didn't see the field much this past season. He gone. I talked about how we need to move on from Mercedes Lewis. The problem is he had his best year last year. He's coming back. Mark Colombo's holding out. He's now the best tackle on the team. He had a bounce back year this past season. He's getting a new contract. Terry Davis has regressed. He's no longer the main backup at guard. He gone. Todd Howell's also holding out. We just gave him a new contract. 32 sacks the past 3 seasons, a career high last year. He's getting a new contract. Deuce Portia is not needed. He gone. Michael Jolivet is still a good corner. He's been consistent. He is coming back. Cedric Hudson has been a solid kicker. He did struggle this past year, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. He's coming back. Daddy Magic is still around. He's 40. He's coming back for 1 more year. Off to free agency, I was interested in the top 2 players. We could use an elite tackle like Levi Jones. We could also use a running back like Lorenzo Booker. We don't have enough cap to sign both players. I chose to pursue Booker, who signed for $9 million. Moving on to the NFL draft, I selected a running back in the 1st. I'll be honest, we're not in a position to rebuild before Young potentially retires. The NFL draft has become an afterthought to me. Vince Young got another 1-point improvement. He may be over 30 now, but he's still improving as long as he continues to produce decent numbers. We now have 2 running backs in the 80s. Strong is the future, but we're trying to make a push this year with Booker. I signed the cheapest fullback I can find. BJ Johnson is still our true number 1 receiver, but Forrest has regressed. That means Brown will be our number 2 this year. Mercedes Lewis is out for the first 3 weeks. I should have seen that coming. Colombo and Robertson are the tackles. Harris and Heward are the backup guards. Did I forget to mention that Dixon is out for the year? Lane and Page are the starting guards. Harris is the future at tackle. Gibson is the future at defensive end. Neal and Miller are the starting defensive ends. Who would have thought Howell would have been the best Texas player I drafted? Doss is looking good at left outside linebacker. Urlacher at middle linebacker. Penwright at right outside linebacker. Ware, Jolivet, and Newman are the starting corners. Sneaky Pete at free safety. Bob Sanders at strong safety. I did make a surprise move by releasing Ratliff. And then I was interested in Giants center Joe Martin. Traded a 3rd and 4th for him to replace Dixon this year. The game plan is untouched. I like the production from last year, and I think we have a better roster to work with. For the 5th straight year, Young has lost a home opener. They did have a bounce back win against the 49ers, but Doss is now on the injury report. Good thing we have Zawierski. The team then lost to Dallas by 6 points. Then they lost Booker for the week. They could have used him in a 2-point loss to Washington. After the bye week, we're still hurting. Then they lost to the Vikings by 1 point. Every loss has been 1 possession so far. We're pretty healthy now, but doesn't matter as the team dropped to 1-5 after a 3-point loss to Atlanta. Then they pulled off 3 straight wins. Then they had their first real loss in the season to Detroit. Then they dominated the next 3 games to get above 500. They are technically in the playoff hunt. Then they shocked the Lions in an upset win. They didn't choke against the Eagles, and the Bears are now back in the playoffs. It comes down to the final week to decide who wins the division, and for the first time in the series, Young won 10 games. Young also won the division for the first time, and Chicago will host a playoff game for the first time with Young. This was by far the best season he's ever had, and it was still very mediocre. He was the 4th best quarterback in the NFC. Sims was first. Lorenzo Booker had over 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. Strong and Young combined for over 1,000 together. Brown led the team in receiving yards, but the ball seemed to have been spread out more this year compared to last year. Joe Martin was a mauler. He did allow the most sacks though. Urlacher had under 100 tackles, but he was never injured. Lindsey and Miller led in sacks. Neal and Doss behind him. Urlacher with 7 interceptions. Ware behind him with 6. This was the number 7 offense and the best passing game this team has ever had. A lot of the success can be attributed to their efficiency on 3rd down. The defense was top 10 but struggled in pass coverage, but when they're second in interceptions, I'm okay with it. For the first time in the Vince Young era, the Chicago Bears are hosting a playoff game. The team started 1-5, all 5 losses by 1 score or less, and finished the rest of the year 10-1. If injuries didn't derail the start of the year, this team could very well be 15-1 with a bye week. They swept Green Bay both times in the year and only allowed 3 points in each matchup. This might be a bye week for Chicago, or will they be surprised by the Packers? Let's find out. The Packers will have the ball to start the game. Harrison is hit by Howell, and it's picked off by Urlacher, breaks the tackle, but a clipping penalty will push the Bears back. Just out of field goal range, 3rd down, Young has plenty of time in the pocket to find Booker to extend the drive. After a loss of 4 on the ground, 2nd and long, Young throws on the move, Johnson short of the first. 3rd and inches, pitch left side, Booker can't get the first. That brings out Hudson for a 37-yard kick for the first points in the game. How does Green Bay respond after their last drive? 16 yards to the rookie DYN Jones. He took a huge hit by Pete but held on, sets them up at the 45. Final minute of the first quarter, Harrison throws, and it's picked off by Ware. He was signed a few years ago to help this secondary, and he reached for the sky, boy. Chicago will start near midfield. Booker has a lane, past the first, near the 30. We're now in the second quarter, same drive. Young throws, Johnson with the catch. 2nd and a note card, they're going to take it outside. Booker with the first, and a face mask for 5 more. That sets them up at the 15. Back to Booker, and he just shoved him out of the way like if he was his little brother. That score puts them up 10-0. The past 2 drives for the Packers have ended in turnovers, and this one starts with a run for a gain of 6. Following play, counter Vanelli up the middle, stopped at the sticks, but gets the first. 3 minutes left in the half. Harrison pumps, going to the sideline. Luke Powell with the catch. This drive has been their best one yet. Harrison back to Powell, closing in on the red zone. Neal forces the off-balance throw near the first. 2nd and 1 before the 2-minute warning. Harrison to Vanelli at the 18. A play later from the shotgun, Harrison to the sideline. Powell makes the catch. That sets them up at the 2-yard line. Pitch right side, and it's a 1-score game again. We skip to the final minute of the half. Packers ball, playing it safe, and it's a fumble. Recovered by Pete, who sneaks his way into the end zone to make it 17-7 going into the half. Packers have now had 3 turnovers turnovers in this game, all leading for points for the Bears. They're punting it away, giving Chicago a short field. First play on the drive is a pass, Young to Lewis, 5 on the catch. Following play, they bring a blitz. Young gets it out quickly to Booker, tackled near the 30. They now face a third down, Young off his back foot, incomplete. That brings out Hudson for a 48-yard kick, and Chicago is now up by 2 scores. The game is still in reach for Green Bay. 1 score puts them right back in it. Nielsen with the catch, tackled short. 2nd and 2 from the shotgun, great protection. Harrison going for it all, and he had a guy open, incomplete. 3rd and 2, low snap, still going to throw, and it's dropped by Nielsen. 4th down, they give it to Vanilli, and Bob Sanders meets him at the sticks, forced the fumble earlier and makes the play there. Chicago can put the game away here. Young throws, Johnson with the first. It's now 3rd down, running out the clock. Booker takes the carry, but well short. Here comes Hudson for a 50-yard kick, but you can call him car wash because he's automatic. It's still technically a 2-score game. Harrison has Greg short. We're now at the 2-minute warning. Chicago brings the blitz, and Howell gets there. It's now 3rd and 9. Harrison to Maynard has the first. Jolivet with the tackle. From the 45, Harrison steps up. Nielsen gets them across midfield. They need to score quickly. Harrison, great protection, going deep. Kendall drops it. He was wide open. The Packers chose the wrong day not to show up. Harrison, moving around, somehow gets it off, and it's incomplete. This is for the game. Handoff, Vanilli, Doss shot through like a wrecking ball, and that's going to be it. The Chicago Bears will be moving on to the divisional round. They easily took care of the Packers, allowing only 1 score, and this defense is looking legit. And the offense played it safe. That might be the winning formula that sends this team back to the Super Bowl. In the prior 7 seasons with Vince Young as their quarterback, the Bears have either gone one and done in the playoffs or went all the way to the Super Bowl. This is only their 3rd playoff appearance with Young, but will history repeat themselves as they take on the Phillip Rivers and Cedric Benson-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Let's find out. We start this one on the first drive for the Buccaneers. Rivers throws to the sideline, caught by Langford for a big play. That puts them across midfield. 3rd down on the drive. Pumps Rivers to Brennan to extend the drive. The following play, Rivers running out of time, gets rid of it. Langford with the catch inside the 10. A play later from the 9, Rivers throws. Brennan with a touchdown catch, and this pass defense was picked apart by the former Wolfpack quarterback. How does Chicago respond? Young with great protection has B.J. Johnson for the first. A play later, they bring a blitz. Young to Johnson makes the catch across midfield, shakes off a tackle to the 34. Chicago gave up a first for the aging veteran last year, and it's paying off today. The throw was behind, but with B.J., no ball is too sloppy for him to handle. A play later, they go to Booker. I hardly know her. Up the middle for the first. We're now in the 2nd quarter. Same drive. Young to Lewis, and he drops it on 3rd down. That brings out Hudson for a 33-yard kick to make it a 4-point game. We skip to the final 2 minutes of the half. Tampa looking to add to their lead. Langford with the catch. Nearing midfield from the shotgun, quick pass, Benson to the flat, shakes off a tackle, gets across the 50. This pass defense has been struggling. Benson picks up the blitzer, Rivers to Langford at the 30, down to the 24. There's a minute left in the half. Benson, right side, has room, tackled short of the first. That puts them inside the red zone. Rivers to the sideline, Brennan with the catch. From the 5, Rivers with time to the end zone, and it's picked off. Jolivet outrunning everyone, and it looked like the Bears were going to be down 14-3 at the half. Instead, they'll now be up 10-7 after this pick 6. The half still isn't over. All it takes is one big play. Rivers pumps to the sideline, caught by Benson. 20 seconds left in the half. Rivers throws, and it falls into the arms of Urlacher. Takes it near midfield, and that's back-to-back drives with an interception. Again, all it takes is one play. play to get into scoring range. Young, forced inside the 40. They're going to opt to kick a 55-yard field goal. He has the leg, but wide right. But don't worry, because the Bears start the second half with the ball, and Young is picked off, and well, that didn't last very long, did it? And a face mask gets them even closer. But the Chicago defense did keep them out, forcing them to a field goal to tie it all up at 10. Tampa does have it again later in the third, still tied, going deep, caught by Brennan, avoids a tackle, and it's a fumble, forced by Jolivet and recovered by Bob. Brennan has been having a great game, but another mistake by Tampa Bay. First play after the turnover, Young steps to his right and has BJ for the first. Following play, Booker picks up the blitz. Young to Brown, tackled short. Sets up 2nd and 2 from the shotgun. Young forced down the middle for a big play, and that'll be the final play of the third quarter. Same drive, 3rd down. Young over the middle, cut by the rookie Millard, and he takes it the rest of the way to reclaim the lead, 17-10. Tampa will now try to tie it up on this drive. Benson, spin move, making Urlacher look like he's tackling Tom Brady. Following play, they go to the air this time. Rivers to the sideline, Langford with the catch. They've been carving up this secondary, going to the other side. Brennan makes the grab, trying to redeem himself from the fumble earlier, just outside the red zone. 2nd down, Rivers has Brennan wide open, and I think he's redeemed himself after a Chicago 3-and-out. Tampa can take the lead here. Rivers short to Benson. We're now in the final 2 minutes. Benson right side across midfield and the first. The Buccaneers are in good position to win the game here, and the batted ball falls into the hands of Urlacher. That's the 2nd time he's been in the right place at the right time. Now Chicago has a chance to win the game here. Booker with a gain of 7. 2nd down, they're going to throw. Young to Lewis, hold on this time. We know that Hudson has the leg to make it from here, but they want to get closer to the sideline. Johnson with the catch. They're now inside the red zone. Booker up the middle. Gain of 7. 2nd and 3, they go back to Booker right side to get inside the 10. From the 5, Booker powering through to the 1. 3rd and goal, can they punch it in? Booker fights and gets into the end zone to give Chicago the lead. Is this turning into a banger? Less than a minute, going deep, dropped by Brennan. 3rd down, Rivers in the pocket feeling pressure, and it's dropped again. The game comes down to this. 4th down, Rivers throws, and it's incomplete. The Chicago Bears do it again in a back and forth matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Young led a game-leading drive that was capped off by their big-name off-season signing, Booker, and their defense held strong to move on to the NFC Championship game. Can history repeat itself 4 years later? Can the Chicago Bears go all the way back to the Super Bowl with a win over the New York Giants? It will also be another reunion between 2 former Texas players in Young for Chicago and Babers for New York. Will the Giants secondary shut down the Bears passing game? Well, let's find out. We start on the first drive of the game, no pressure. Dunn has Ellis near the 1st. 2nd and a note card, pitch left side, and it's a trap. Takes it to midfield. A play later, Miller bringing the pressure, going deep and incomplete, but PI on Bob. They're now in field goal range. 3rd down, Dunn's pass falls incomplete, which means they'll kick a 45-yard field goal for the first point in the game. We skip to the second quarter, same score, Dunn to Shockey, who's still playing, by the way. That would eventually set up a 3rd and 2, Dunn taking a shot, Starks holds on through the hit. The following play, they go to the ground. Trap met at the line, but Urlacher is now out for the rest of the game. 2nd down, Penwright with a blitz gets picked up. Dunn deep, caught, fighting his way in for a score, but the Bears challenge the spot, and it's ruled short. From the half-yard mark, handoff, it gets blown up, and Dunn takes it in for the score. The Giants are now up 10 nothing, and Hingle McCringleberry would be proud. The Bears offense hasn't done anything today, and Booker on the carry. Running has been this team's forte. Booker left side gets the first. We're now at the 2-minute warning. Young with time has Brown across midfield. They now face a big third down, needing one. Young has Brown wide open for the first. Add on 5 more for the face mask. They're in field goal range. Young throws. Force gets them inside the red zone. It's now 3rd down. Young feeling pressure strong with the first and gets in for the touchdown. It's a 3-point game again. Chicago would have the ball again in the final 30 seconds. Brown near midfield. Following play, they bring the blitz. Young gets it out to Force near the 40. Right on the edge of field goal range. Young going deep. Johnson makes the catch in double coverage. With 5 seconds left in the half, they kick the field goal to tie it up at 10. It feels like the Giants lost all the momentum they had to start the game, but this might get it back. Ambrose with the catch. They now face a 3rd and long on the drive. Great protection. Dunn throws, and it's picked off by Joe Levet. Had a pick 6 last week, has another this week, and that's the 3rd straight game the defense scored a touchdown. The Bears have scored 17 unanswered points, and the Giants are trying to get something going again. We're in the 4th quarter, 3rd down. Trapp had the first, but gets tackled behind the sticks. They're going to go for it. Desperation mode, and tackled behind the line. Floyd came in for an injured Urlacher and forced the turnover on downs. Giants have it again in the final 3 minutes. Doss with a hit, and it's picked off by Joe Levet for the 2nd time today. It only led to a field goal attempt, 25 yards, to give the Bears a 2-score lead. We're now in the final 2 minutes. Giants down by 10. Dunn deep, caught by Fuller. A play later from the 45, blitz gets picked up. Dunn to Starks across the 30. The no-huddle has been effective on this drive, going deep again. Starks dives short of the end zone. From the 2, play action. Dunn to the end zone, caught, but he wasn't in. It's now 3rd and goal after a spike to the end zone and knocked away. The Giants play it safe, going for the field goal instead of the touchdown, and it's a 1-score game. They still have to recover the onside kick if they want any chance of tying it up, and that's going to be it. Recovered by the Bears. Chicago is returning back to the Super Bowl after struggling to make the playoffs the past 3 seasons. Each game, their defense forced a turnover that led to points, and today, the pick 6 was the difference between the game going into overtime and them moving on. After a rough start to his career and questions on whether or not Chicago should keep Vince Young at quarterback, he's rallied his team to the Super Bowl for the 2nd time in his career. The Bears have only lost 1 game that was more than 1 score. The past 2 games, won by 1 score. The past 3 games, the defense scored a touchdown. They might not even be here if it wasn't for that unit, and they'll be without their best player, Urlacher. Will that be too much for the Bears to overcome, or will Young earn his first Super Bowl ring? Let's get it on. We start this one in the middle of the 1st quarter. Randall to Walker, stiff arm but tackled short. That sets up a 3rd and 2. Black up the middle, gets the first. They're now across midfield. Randall deep, Carlton with a catch. This defense is beginning to crack early. Black left side shakes off Joe Levet. Gain of 7 on the play. That puts them just outside the red zone. Randall throws, and it's picked off by Joe Levet. But Randall gets in his way from taking it all the way, and that could have been his 3rd straight game with a pick 6. Instead, Chicago will start this drive on their own 27. Young off balance to Johnson. Sets up a 3rd and 1 to start the 2nd quarter. Brown with the first. Following play, pitch left side. Booker with room for a gain of 6. 2nd down, Jacksonville brings the blitz. Young gets it out to Johnson. They're now in Jacksonville territory. Young running out of time. Throws. Johnson inside the 20. They get it to the 10. 2nd down, Booker one guy to beat, tackled short. From the 1, play action. Young to the end zone and picked off for a touchback. The Jaguars defense does its job. We skip to the final 2 minutes of the half. Game is still scoreless. Jacksonville punting it away, forced on the return for Chicago. Heads towards the sideline. Run, Forrest, run. He might be the stupidest son of a bitch alive, but he sure is fast. For the 4th consecutive week, the Bears score a non-offensive touchdown. The half isn't over yet. Jacksonville can try to answer back. Carlton with the catch. Under a minute left in the half, Randall with great protection finds Walker, shakes off a tackle near the 40. Following play, Howell bulldozes over the guard, picked up by the back. Sam with the first. 12 seconds left in the half. 3rd down, Randall to the end zone and almost picked off by Bob. They'll have to settle for a 37-yard kick to make it 7-3 going into the half. The Chicago Bears find themselves up by 4, but both teams exchange turnovers in their own red zone. We'll see if either team can limit their mistakes as Jackson breaks away. He has a wall of blockers past the 40. The kicker can't get him. One guy to beat, chased down at the 25. After the big return, they face a 3rd down. Randall throws. Walker gets a block, trucks a defender. He's rumbling into the end zone to give Jacksonville the lead 10-7. The Bears have now given up 10 unanswered points. Booker tackled short of the sticks. 2nd and 1, pitch left side. Booker has the first, spins and hit hard. Since that interception in the end zone, they haven't done much, but Young finds Forrest for big play. They're now in field goal range. Play action, Young on the move across his body. Brown with a diving catch. A play later, they go to the ground. Booker squeezing through for the first. They're now inside the red zone. They hand it to the rookie Turk. Spin move and made 2 guys miss to give the Bears the lead again. Can Jacksonville answer back? Randall with plenty of time throws and it's picked off by Doss, and Randall again prevents the pick 6. A face mask does get them to the 13. Young, Brown to the 5. Sets up a 2nd and 1. Booker says, "Get out of my way," and gets in to give the Bears a 21-10 lead. We're now at the start of the final quarter. Randall to Styles for first. A play later, Doss on the blitz, and Randall runs into him for a sack. 3rd and long from the shotgun. Randall, great protection, going deep, and Walker comes down with it. 3 minutes left in the game. Can Chicago hold out? Going deep, and it's caught by Carlton. Joe Lavette was in coverage, but couldn't make the play this time. To make it a 3-point game, and Lindsey ended the play before it even started. All Chicago needs to do is run out the clock. Booker, left side, gets the first. We're now at the 2-minute warning. Counter, Booker, and gets another first. They now face a 3rd and long. Booker is tackled just outside of field goal range. Just over a minute in the game. Up by 5. Daddy Magic will pin them to the 10. All they need is 90 yards. High snap, corner blitz. Doesn't get there. Chandler with the catch. It's now 3rd down, great protection. Randall has all day to find Chandler again for the first. 20 seconds left in the game, another 3rd down and knocked out by Newman. This is for the game. 4th down, running out of time, over the middle, and he has Black for the first. They don't have any more timeouts left, rushing back to the line to get set. Tick, 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 tick. And they'll spike it with 3 seconds left. This will be the final play of the game. Pressure forces him to get rid of it early, and it falls incomplete. That means the Chicago Bears are your Super Bowl champions. Vince Young got his ring. The defense did its job. They made moves in the offseason this past year to try and get back into the playoffs. Who knew it would have taken them to the Super Bowl? This run by the Bears looked like they were invincible. Let's start the offseason. I'm showing the quarterback retirements not because of Brady, but because the oldest player is 37, meaning 36 is potentially the final year. Young is currently 32. We do have 2 retirements. Daddy Magic at the age of 41 retired at the pinnacle of his career. Terrence Newman played 4 more seasons after sitting a year. Vince Young did the honors of retiring Cedric Benson this season. He also did the honors years of retiring Babers, who rebuilt his career in New York. On to re-signing. Just like the last time they made the Super Bowl, Vince Young is in need of a contract. He's continuing to improve each year. He's coming back. KD McGuire, third string quarterback, he gone. Lorenzo Booker was signed last year as a desperate push to get back into the playoffs to salvage Young's time in Chicago. It worked out, but now he gone. Sam Mills fell down the depth immediately after giving him a big contract. He gone. Bernard Robertson is one of the starting tackles. He did have a bounce back year, but the truth is we need to get younger. He gone. Ray Heward, emergency guard, he gone. Derek Dixon regressed after his injury. It's a bummer considering how well he was looking. He gone. Mo Williams, no mo problems. He gone. The future John Lane is elite. His numbers don't reflect it, but he's coming back. Willie Miller had all the potential. He has decent numbers, but never improved. He's coming back. Carlton Neal is a 10-year pro. He's solid enough, but again, trying to get younger. He gone. Bruce Simmons, emergency defensive tackle. He gone. Roger Floyd was very important in our Super Bowl run. He's depth, but when forced to play after Urlacher's injury, he did very well. He's coming back. Hey there, Bob. He hasn't been outstanding, continues to regress. He gone. His backup Troy Warner, I don't know how he lasted on this team this long, but he's coming back. Off to free agency with Newman retiring, I didn't plan on signing a replacement until I saw Leon Jones. He's a young stud who had his best season last year. I signed him. On a side note, Lorenzo Booker went back to Atlanta. Moving on to the NFL draft, I selected a tackle in the first. You might be able to see what's coming next year. Remember, we traded our third and fourth away for Joe Martin. Still a decent draft. Looks like the old man can still learn a thing or two. He's only 32, but it's nice to see that players can still get better in the back half of their careers. Lance Strong will be a starting running back this season, took a backseat last year to Booker. I don't plan on a deep playoff run, I just want my young guys to develop. Myers is still the fullback. Johnson took a big step back this year. It would be the perfect time for Brown to take a leap and show us he can be a true number one. As much as I talked about moving on from Lewis, he's been great. This will probably be Colombo's final year on the team. Kenny Harris is the emergency guard. Joe Martin ended up being a solid trade. Page and future Lane at guard. Harris at right tackle, and Dickerson looking to start next year. We let Neal go to see what we have in Gibson, while Miller will start opposite of him. Lindsey and Howell still the defensive tackles. Doss is beginning to come into his own. Urlacher is now showing his regression. Penwright and Zawierski continue to slump. Jones leads all the corners. Ware and Joe Levette both have one foot out the door. Sneaky Pete at free safety. Warner is back at strong safety. We found the perfect game plan that works for Young. We're not touching it. Sound the alarm. We won a season opener again. Then had a dominating win against the Miami Dolphins. Then the Buccaneers returned the favor. Ended up going 2-2 after the bye. Colombo is out, which means we'll get an early look at our rookie. Won 3 straight games. Lost to New Orleans. Joe Martin is now out for the year with a broken spine. Still managed to pull off 3 straight wins. Now Patrick Page is out. 2 of our 5 linemen, they gone. Somehow won 6 straight to get to 11-3. Doss is now out for the year. Lost out the final 2 games, including one against the Vikings for the division. Had a chance for the number 1 seed, instead we're a wild card. Vince Young again had his best year ever, over 20 touchdowns for the first time in his career. I think he's finally figured it out. It earned him NFC MVP, but he was second in NFC Offensive Player of the Year. He was also NFC's best quarterback. Strong was 4 yards away from his first ever 1,000-yard season, earned him 5th best running back in the NFC. Young was second on the team. He's been sneaky good as a scrambler. Both Brown and Johnson were close to getting over 1,000 yards receiving. Johnson was the 4th best receiver in the NFC. Lewis also had his best year with the team. This was also the best the offensive line looked in a while. Doss was leading in tackles before his injury. Miller and Gibson both had over 10 sacks each. Free agent Jones over here with 7 interceptions, wherein Joe Levet with 5. The Bears had the number 1 offense mainly because of how good they were on third downs. The number 4 defense, they were forcing turnovers left and right. Had Jaron won the final game, he would have won Best Coach of the Year. The defending Super Bowl champions lost their final 2 games of the year that could have given them the week off. Instead, they're now in the wild card as the visiting team facing off against Washington because they had some late season injuries that caused the implosion. Can they right the ship, or is this where they sink? Let's find out. We start this one with a punt. Brown, who's Daddy Magic's replacement, has a high arcing punt, but he outkicked his coverage and Washington will start in Chicago territory. First play from Washington, handoff, Vanelli, right side, stiff arms, Urlacher. That would set up a 2nd and short, back to Vanelli, huge hole for the first. We're now in the second quarter, same drive in the red zone. Jones passes batted down by Joe Levet. Nystrom comes out for Washington, 35 yards to give them the first points in the game. We skip to the final 2 minutes of the half. Chicago's ball going deep and Young is picked off by Ekman, brings it back to the 20. Washington now has a chance to go up by 2 scores. Starks with a catch. He was the guy Washington selected with the draft pick from the B.J. Johnson trade, and it's working out for them. 2nd and 1, plenty of time to run, but they're going to pass. Jones in between 2 defenders to give them a 10-point lead. After a Chicago 3-and-out, Washington has it again in the final minute. Jones, deep, Rich, gets away from one guy and avoids another. Look at him go. Just like that, Washington will go into the half up 17-0. The defending Super Bowl champions don't look like champions today. Lewis with a catch near the first. Following play, pitch right side, Strong, showing it's not just a name but a lifestyle. That puts them near midfield. Young running out of time, throws, has Lewis in field goal range. 8 seconds left in the half. Young going deep. Brown had it, lost it, and that could have been a touchdown. Instead, they'll attempt a 53-yard kick in the final seconds of the half to get them on the scoreboard. Chicago does start the second half with the ball. Young, Brown plowing to the 40. This is their chance to cut the lead down to 1 score. Forrest near midfield. 2nd and inches, they're going to throw. Young moves to his right. Lewis in double coverage makes the catch. They now face a 3rd down. Young has Forrest short. Chicago has been able to move the ball, but once again held to a field goal. They're down 17-6. We start the 4th quarter. Chicago's ball. Young, deep. Lewis, this is becoming his breakout game. If they can score on this drive, they're back in it. Brown short. Field goal, touchdown, doesn't matter. It'll make it a 1-score game and incomplete. 4th and a note card. Strong with a handoff, showing why it's not just a name for the first. They're now in Washington territory. Plenty of time, no need to rush, and they call that a catch. 2nd and 5 from the shotgun. Young led his receiver too much and it's picked off. That's his 2nd interception of the day, and it couldn't have come at a worse time. Washington will be punting it back to Chicago in the final 2 minutes. Time is now becoming an issue, but stranger things have happened and it's a fumble. That's going to end the game. Washington was able to add 3 more points to their final score, but it was over the minute Young threw the 2nd interception. That fumble just cemented it, and for a team that looked to rebuild this year, they went further than they originally planned. Next year looks promising. Let's start the offseason. Chris Sims has called it a career at the age of 37. He had a pretty decent career but ended up on the injury list. If Young can get into elite territory, there's a chance he can play 4 more seasons. He's 33 this year. We did have 5 retirements, all but 1 were big contributors at one point. Michael Joe Levet was a name that was already here before Young was drafted. I considered moving on from him after the first playoff game, but chose to keep him. That was the right choice. BJ Johnson was a much needed trade to help develop Young, absolutely worth the first round for the 3 years that he gave. Gerard Penwright was a signing to push for a playoff berth. He didn't do much the last 2 seasons. J.R. Zawierski was a desperate trade that happened when injuries to both Holdman and Colvin happened. I would put him in my own personal ring of honor. The final player was Larry Bird, a Larry legend, Larry Fitzgerald. On to re-signings, Steve Wicks, backup quarterback. He did have some play time, but easily replaceable. He gone. Lance Strong is now the lead back. He just missed out on 1,000 yards last year. He's coming back. Irv Myers is the fullback. I don't think too much about this position, but he's coming back. Courtney Brown is our best receiver. I think he's now taken the leap to be the true #1 receiver. He's coming back. Mark Colombo, I said we were moving on from him. He had a solid year last season. I'm not moving on from him. He's coming back. Joe Martin has been solid. Unfortunately, he broke his frickin' spine last year, but he's coming back. Sam Lindsay, the best defensive tackle, he's been very consistent the past 4 years. He's coming back. Brian Urlacher continues to regress. He has not had over 100 tackles in the past 4 years. He's coming back. Sneaky Pete seems to have hit his ceiling. He's not going to wow you on the stat sheet, but he doesn't cause problems. He's coming back. Off to free agency. This year's class was not great. I skipped. Moving on to the NFL draft, I selected an outside linebacker to replace Penwright and Zawierski. The rest of the draft was okay. In his 10th year, Vince Young is now elite, from undesirable to undeniable. The former Texas Longhorn has been to 2 Super Bowls, winning one of them. How much more is there for him to do? It happens to coincide that each time he went to the Super Bowl, he had a solid running game. Is Strong going to be the third back to take him there? Myers the fullback, Brown will be the #1 receiver, Millard behind him. Forrest has become the old man in the group. Mercedes Lewis is at the tail end of his career, but he sure is good. The initial plan was to move on from Colombo, but he's starting this year. Harris is the backup guard. Martin is the center. Lane and Page are the starting guards. Harris at right tackle. Dickerson the backup. Gibson will be at left end. Miller at right end. Lindsey and Howell at defensive tackle. Doss isn't improving that fast. Urlacher clinging on to his elite rating. The rookie will be out for the first month. Jones and Ware are the only players above 70 overall. Sneaky Pete at free safety. Troy Warner continues to start at strong safety. Me no touchy the game plan. Another year, another season opener win. Started 4-0, lost Urlacher for half the year. Still managed to beat the lowly Giants. Now Page is out for the year. Lane is also out. Both guards, they out. Lost 2 straight games. Managed to beat the Lions after the bye. Now Sneaky Pete is out for 6 weeks. Alternated wins and losses. Now Gibson is out for the season. We did have a 3-game win streak, holding the top seed of the NFC. Dropping the next 2 games, did beat the Lions to get to 10 wins, clinched the playoffs, and we're still the #1 seed. Our center Joe Martin is now out for the final week, in which we did win, and we somehow did not get the #1 seed. We're in the wild card again. We'll also be without both our starting defensive ends. Young without BJ is back to being mediocre. It looks like we might be in the market for another receiver soon. Despite that, he was still the best quarterback in the NFC. Strong got over 1,000 yards on the ground. He took a huge step this year, earned him 4th on NFC MVP. He was also the 3rd best running back in the NFC. Young and Turk combined for over 1,000. Brown is a solid receiver, but I don't think he's a #1 receiver. We got a pair of 2s over here. Lewis with his best year ever. The offensive line was okay, but Harris gave up a lot of sacks. Him and Martin were in the top 5 for best O-line in the NFC. Floyd led in tackles with Urlacher being out. Miller led in sacks, but he'll be out. Ware led in interceptions. Jones and Lindsey behind him. Our passing offense is back to being in the bottom half. Our pass defense was awful this year. We did do a better job limiting turnovers, and once again had Jerron won just one more game, he'd earn best coach. Another year, another season, the Chicago Bears got pushed out of the #1 spot. Last year it ended in an upset loss to Washington in the wild card. This year they'll have a chance to flip the script. Remember, with Vince Young at quarterback, this team has either gone one and done or taken it all the way. Does that continue this year? Let's find out. Last year, Chicago was down 17-0 before scoring some points. Brown with a catch across midfield avoids a tackle, one guy to outrun, and look at him go. Chicago scores on the first play of the game. Final seconds of the first quarter, high snap pressured and into the arms of Frederick Millard chasing from behind. Neither team unable to get anything going after the big play, but this could give Washington the momentum. First play after the turnover, Avery throws and Sneaky Pete with the interception, and he's now injured. After a 3-and-out, Washington has it again. Avery under pressure and on the money to Warner near the 30. A play later, pitch left side, Vanelli takes it out wide, bounces off two defenders, runs over a third, sets up a 3rd and 2, back to Vanelli, and Madison swallows him up behind the line. Remember, they're out both starting defensive ends. They bring out Nystrom for a 42-yard kick. It's up and it's good. Other than that one big play, Chicago hasn't done much. Young to Lewis for the first. We're now at the 2-minute warning. Strong dances, breaks off a tackle, spins out of another. Look at him go. He's out to prove that his name is a lifestyle. They're now in Washington territory from the shotgun. Young with plenty of time throws. Newton with the catch inside the 30. A play later, a minute to go in the half. Young with time has Strong near the first. Sets up a 3rd and 2. Strong bounces outside and is swarmed behind the line. That brings out Hudson for a 39-yard kick to make it a touchdown game again. Washington starts the second half. Avery with time has Starks short. Following play, Avery drops back to the seam. Warner with the catch at midfield. A play later, play action, pressure in his face, deep, and he still connects with Rich for a big play. He was the guy that burnt them twice last year. They now face a 3rd down inside the red zone and they play it safe, going for a field goal to make it a 4-point game, 33 yards out, and it doinks off the upright. No good. All Chicago needs to do is run out as much clock as they can, and it's picked off by Frederick. Strong with the tackle. Chicago really is trying to throw this game away. Avery Richardson inside the 5. This will probably be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Vanelli tackled short. It's now the start of the 4th quarter, and Vanelli is tackled behind the line by Floyd. 3rd and goal. They go back to Vanelli, and he stopped short again. 4th and goal. They're going to go for it. Vanelli outside and tackled by the rookie Wilson to force the turnover on downs. We're now in the final 2 minutes. Chicago is punting to Washington. Had they made the first field goal and kicked it the last time they were in the red zone, they'd be down by 1 point. Instead, they need to score a touchdown to tie. Rich with the catch. They now face a 3rd down. Chicago with the blitz. Avery throws and he's picked off by Ware. All Chicago needs to do is get a first. Strong left side, short. They now face a 3rd and 3, and it's a fullback dive, and that'll be it. Despite how lackluster the Chicago offense was after that big touchdown play to open the game, they managed to win 10-3, mostly because their defense stopped them in a goal line stand to prevent the tie. Does this mean they're going all the way? The Bears are now taking on the team that stole their #1 spot this year, the Green Bay Packers. They each won a game against each other, but the Packers had one more conference win than the Bears. Now Chicago comes in off their lackluster showing against Washington. Will the slump continue? Let's find out. We start this one late in the first quarter, Strong looking real strong, with the handoff for the first. A play later, they go back to Strong, left side, tackled beyond the sticks. Final seconds of the first quarter, Young throws, Brown with the catch at the 40. We're now at the start of the second quarter, Myers leading the way, Strong gain of 5 on the carry. A play later, 3rd and 3, Strong pitch, right side, heads up for the first. 3 minutes left in the half, free rusher. Gets rid of it. Millard with the catch and gets in for the first score in the game. Their offense already looks better than last week. Chicago has it again in the final 2 minutes. Young throws, Brown with the catch at the 35. A play later, Young, free rusher in his face, gets rid of it. Brown across midfield and it's a fumble, but recovered by Chicago. At midfield, 58 seconds left in the half, Young with plenty of time and he's picked off and the Packers will have half a field to work with. Can Harrison tie the game up before the half? Quick drop throws and it's picked off. Shakes off a tackle, avoids another, and Troy Warner will take it the rest of the way for a pick 6. Well, now we know how he survived 10 years on this team. We now skip to the second half. Bears up 14-0. Harrison off balance and somehow makes the throw. It was short of the first. They're going to throw. Harrison is picked off for the second time today. Doss down the sideline, tackled near the 25. The Bears are now looking to turn this into a blowout. Last week they scored 10 points. They're looking to score 21 before the fourth quarter. First play after the interception, Strong bounces it, spin move, shakes off a tackle and gets the first. They're outside the 10. Young drops back, pumps, has Lewis inside the 5. They are short of the first. Strong with the handoff finds room and falls forward to make it a 21-0 game. The game is getting out of hand for the Packers. Chicago has it again and Young connects with Millard. He took a huge hit losing his helmet. Now here's a guy that can make a tough catch. I think at this point, all Chicago cares about is running the clock. And Strong is very strong. Tackled near the first. We're now at the start of the fourth quarter. Pitch left side, Strong bounces off a tackle but can't get the first. Hudson will come out to attempt a 34-yard kick to make it a 24-0 game. We skip to the final 20 seconds. Game is over. Packers are in the red zone and the Bears can't prevent the shutout. I'm sure they don't care as they'll be moved on to the NFC Championship game. This team struggled last week, put up 24 points this week. If there's one thing that's consistent, it's their defense. They'll now be one game away from moving on to the Super Bowl for the third time in the Vince Young era. Can the Chicago Bears return to the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years? Can they continue the trend of going all or nothing in the playoffs, or will they finally get eliminated for the first time past the wild card against the St. Louis Rams? Let's find out. We start this one with Chicago inside their own 10. Young, great protection, steps to his left, going deep, has Millard for a big play. They're now in St. Louis territory. Young throws, and how did Lewis get that open? A play later from the shotgun. Young, short, forced near the first. 3rd and 2, everyone and their mamas knows who's getting the ball, and they still can't stop Strong behind the line to the 5. We're now in the second quarter, 3rd down. Young, Forrest still can't get in. The St. Louis defense holds Chicago to just a field goal. The Rams offense, on the other hand, can't do much. 3 and out, punting it to the Bears. It's a high kick, Forrest on the return. From the 35, takes it across midfield, the 40, the 30, the 20, chased down at the 15. That sets them up in the red zone. Play action, Young has a wide open Brown for a touchdown, and they're now up 10-0. Chicago has it again in the final 2 minutes of the half. Young to Brown, breaks a tackle, and there he goes. The 30, 20, 10, 5 to the 1. A yard away from a touchdown. Young floats it, and somehow Lewis comes down with it to make it 17-0. There's still a minute left in the half. St. Louis trying not to let it get away from them. Going deep, caught across midfield. field. They now have a chance to cut the lead down to 10 before the half. He just tosses it out there and Rutgers comes down with it for a score. There's still time left in the half. Young throws a rainbow. Millard comes down with it. This team scored 10 points in the wild card. Young, Forrest near the first. 20 seconds left in the half. Young, another rainbow. Millard has been making plays, but now he's injured. Not risking anything, the Bears will kick the field goal to go into the half up 20-7. We skip to the fourth quarter, same score, Rams ball, third down, and this pass for the first. A touchdown gets them right back in it, pressure in his face, and completes it to Cato past the 40. There's still plenty of time, no need to panic. Hudson throws right into the arms of Lindsey. That was just a bad throw, and the corner made the play to end the game. Chicago would add a field goal to their score, but it was over after that interception, and for the second time in 3 seasons, the Chicago Bears return back to the Super Bowl, and for the third time this team goes all the way after going one and done twice. Can the Chicago Bears begin their dynasty here with their second Lombardi in 3 years? Vince Young could cement himself as a potential Hall of Famer today, but they'll be going up against the only team that can circle the wagons, the Buffalo Bills. Let's get it on. We start this one in the final 2 minutes of the half, and Urlacher gets to the quarterback. He missed the last Super Bowl with an injury. He's here today. Sets up a third and long. Edwards with all day to throw. Pumps going deep, going real deep to Springs. The running back making the catch. A play later, throws to the outside. Incomplete, but PI on the defense. Instead of third down, it's first, and Doss tackles Springs behind the line. That would lead to a third and long. Edwards throws Thomas short of the first. Buffalo would run the rest of the clock down before attempting this 41-yard kick, and it's good. There is still 1 second left on the clock. Strange things have happened. Forrest back to return the kick. He returned a punt for a touchdown against Jacksonville. He has great blocking, room to roam across midfield, breaks off a tackle, the 30, the 20, the 10, and he gives Chicago the lead at the half. We now skip to the fourth quarter. Buffalo still down, going deep. Bishop with the catch. They're now in Chicago territory. Edwards running out of time, going back to Bishop, makes the catch, runs over Ware, and takes it the rest of the way to reclaim the lead. We're now in the final 2 minutes. Can Young lead a game-winning drive? He has time short. Forrest heads up field near the 45. 80 seconds left in the game. Young pumps, moves to his right, going deep in between 2 defenders, and Forrest takes it the rest of the way to retake the lead. But is there too much time on the clock? First play for Buffalo. Edwards, great protection, has Bishop for the first. A minute left in the game. Edwards going deep. Bishop makes another catch, and it's a fumble recovered by Chicago. But wait a minute. There's a flag, face mask on Sneaky Pete, and Buffalo will retain. Following the penalty, high snap, Edwards going deep to the end zone, knocked away. 50 seconds left in the game, second down, Edwards pumps, goes back to the end zone, incomplete. 45 seconds left. Pocket is collapsing. Springs is open and gets the first. That gets them a new set of downs. Edwards has Johnson on the out for 5. 36 seconds left. They bring a safety blitz, and that leaves Bishop wide open for the go-ahead score. And they're now up 17-14. There's still 28 seconds left in the game. Chicago has one more timeout, and Young throws short in the middle of the field. After a spike, 13 seconds left. Young to the flat. Turk doesn't go to the sideline. They used their last timeout with 4 seconds left. Young going deep, and Brown can't come down with it, and that's going to be it. All through the playoffs, the Chicago defense has held teams to one score, but a boneheaded mistake by Pete gave the Bills a second chance, and what should have been Young's second Lombardi became his second Super Bowl loss. Well, there's always next year. So let's start the offseason. Derek Johnson, familiar name, retired in Miami, started every season. Bo Scaife, another familiar name, retired in Denver, also started every season. Bernard Robertson, we let him walk 2 years ago. It was the right choice. Austin Sendlin, another former Longhorn, was a starter in Jacksonville before becoming a backup his final 3 seasons. Corey Redding, former Longhorn like Sendlin, was a starter for most of his career before becoming a backup. Rich Burt was drafted 9th overall by Jacksonville in the same draft class as Young. Second quarterback taken, never reached his potential. J.R. Blackburn's failure was a cause of my incompetence. He should have started in Chicago sooner, but instead I hurt his development. Young is currently 34. We'll see if he has 2 or 3 more seasons in him. On to resignings. Reggie Miller is our emergency receiver. He gone. Mercedes Lewis, like wine, keeps getting better and better with age. He is coming back. Patrick Wooden, backup tight end. He gone. Mark Colombo, I said we were moving on from him. He's still pretty good and we have a lot of cap space. I'll come back to him. Kenny Harris is a solid backup. We have the money. He's coming back. Joe Martin is holding out. He's been really good the past 2 years. I'm giving him a 1-year deal. John Lane is also holding out. He's elite and has been great the past 2 seasons. I'm also giving him a 1-year deal. Patrick Page was injured last year and we have the other Lane behind him. He gone. The young Lane will now be the opposite starting guard. He's coming back. Mitch Harris, he's now our best tackle, made the Pro Bowl. He's coming back. Antonio Maynard, emergency tackle. He gone. Sean Gibson hasn't done much other than that 1 year and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's coming back. Phil Madison, he's emergency depth at this point. He gone. Gary Triplett, same thing. He gone. Todd Howell, starting defensive tackle. He was fantastic for 3 straight years, then slumped, but he's coming back. Anthony Gibson, we can find cheaper depth in the draft. He gone. Jimmy Doss seems to have hit his ceiling. He's a solid player. He's coming back. Randall Coleman, emergency depth. He gone. Matt Ware is probably in his final year. He's continuing to regress. Still a solid starter, but Lindsey is looking to take over. I'll come back to this. Ron Eggert, we can find cheaper in the draft. He gone. Ty Hayward, again, we can go to the draft to replace him. He gone. Troy Warner had a pick 6 in the playoffs. He's a solid player. He's coming back. We have $40 million in cap space. Where is coming back? Kevin Brown is no daddy magic, but he's coming back. Since we still have over $30 million, we're bringing back Colombo off to free agency. I didn't plan on signing anyone, but Tremaine Hall caught my eye. I signed him. Moving on to the NFL draft, and we are still getting repeated draft classes. The first 3 draft picks were solid, and they might be names that you've already seen before. Vince Young continues to stay elite. He surprisingly still has his speed. We'll see if he can continue to use his legs this year despite his age. Strong is our lead back, but it's nice to have a backup like Turk who can come in and the drop off won't be too steep. Myers is in the 70s now. Brown has hit his ceiling. Millard had a solid playoff run before his injury, and Cato, the rookie, will be the number 2 in an effort to develop him quicker. This might be Lewis's final year. I don't know if I can even replace him. Colombo will be out for a month. Harris is the main backup at guard. Martin is out for half the year. That's not good. Both lanes will start. Brown is out. Harris at right tackle. Dickerson will be the starter until Colombo can come back. We'll see if Gibson can bounce back at left end. Miller is close to elite at right end. Lindsey and Howell continue to start, but for how long? Doss at left outside linebacker. Urlacher is no longer elite at middle linebacker. Wilson at right outside linebacker. Our secondary should be better with Hall and Jones leading. Sneaky Pete at free safety. Warner at strong safety, but for how much longer? Me, no touchy the game plan. They won the season opener again. They still still struggled, going 2-2, and 4 of our offensive linemen are injured. Still managed to win the next 2 games. Now 5 offensive linemen are injured. The cracks are beginning to show with a loss to Detroit. Now both of our centers are injured. After the bye, we did manage to beat Green Bay to go 5-3. We now have 6 offensive linemen on the injury list, yet we're still managing to win. Now Gibson is out for a month. We've now won 3 straight games despite all the injuries. We are getting healthier. The Giants ended their winning streak. Now Colombo's out for the year. Even worse, Young is out for the month. They lost to the Vikings. Brown is now banged up. We somehow beat the Packers, but then got swept by the Lions. This might be the emptiest the injury list has been in a while. They pulled off a 1-point win over Tennessee, which means if we win the final week, we're in. There's a chance that Young will play. I think Young played. They dominated in the season finale. What a rough season, but Chicago made it to the playoffs. But they're going to be banged up in the wild card. Young had another good year, and had he played the entire season, I think he would have had his most efficient year as a starter. We do have to give props to the backup Sly. He was terrible last year, but got us 2 wins this season to get us into the playoffs. Strong got over 1,000 yards for the 2nd straight year, not a great average, and he's banged up. Young and Turk were pretty good as well. I mentioned this before, but with the lack of a true number 1, the team spreads the ball out a lot, and I think that limits the development of certain players. The offensive line was held together with glue, string, and a bit of duct tape. Doss is becoming the new leader of this defense, led in tackles. Gibson led in sacks. The backup Madison had 8. Gibson was out for 4 weeks. Imagine if he was healthy all year. Tremaine Hall had 12 interceptions. That's the most we've ever had. He was 3rd in the NFC MVP. He was 2nd in NFC Defensive Player of the Year and the 2nd best defensive back in the NFC. The offense did improve their passing game this year. Same thing with the defense. They improved. They were able to limit their turnovers. A year that was filled with injuries on the offensive line that caused Vince Young to miss a month of football. The last time he missed any time was when they went to the Super Bowl for the first time. The team managed to win 2 games in his absence, and it was good enough to keep them in the playoff hunt. They're now mostly healthy, but they're banged up. Colombo is out, and the backup Dickerson, a no-name tackle, will be his blindside blocker. Will that be good enough to keep Young upright? Let's find out. Chicago will have it first. They go to Strong, and it's a fumble, recovered by Brown. 2nd down, they're going to throw. Young goes back to Strong for the first, add 15 more for the face mask. They've gone to Strong 2 straight times, make it a 3rd. Great blocking, breaks out of a tackle, and has the first. A play later, they go back to Strong for the 4th time on the drive and tackled short. 3rd and a note card. They're going to throw over the linebacker and into Cato, down the sideline, and the 1st round rookie gives Chicago the first score of the game. The Giants, on the other hand, went 3 and out, punting it back to Chicago. Forrest had a punt return for a touchdown, and it's a fumble, recovered by New York. First play after the turnover, Dunn to his right has Starks, gets past Hall, and he'll tie the game up at 7. Dunn would return to the game. The following drive, back to Strong, and Myers can't get the block, tackled behind the line. And that brings up a 2nd and 14. They go back to Strong, this time in the air, and he gets the first and more. It's now the start of the 2nd quarter, same drive, 3rd down, Cato with the first. A play later, they stick to the air, pressure almost gets there. Strong has been looking real impressive today. Diving catch for a gain of 8. It's 3rd and 2, they continue the pass, back to Cato for another first. A play later, the interior of the line collapses, Lewis down the middle takes it to the 12. Inside the red zone, Strong up the middle, and it's a fumble. They recover it, but that's their 3rd fumble in the game. They face another 3rd down draw. Strong breaks a tackle and met at the sticks. nice but short. Chicago plays it safe, kicking the 21-yard field goal to make it a 3-point lead after the long drive. The Giants will have a minute to work with before the half, and Dunn is sacked by Howell. The old man still gets it. They now face a third down on the drive. Dunn going deep, caught by Houston. 21 seconds left in the half. Dunn with time finds Starks for another first. Giants have no more timeouts left. Dunn with great protection going to the end zone and overthrew his guy. Remember, Giants don't have any more timeouts. Dunn throws to the middle of the field. Starks with the catch, but they won't be able to get set before time expires. A missed opportunity to tie the game up at 10. The Giants will have the ball to start the second half. Dunn over the middle, Starks with the catch. Following play, they go to the ground on a counter. It's a trap. Gets the first, stiff arms Warner and gets a little bit more. The Giants are moving the ball very well. Dunn, short, Starks, 7 on the play. It's now 3rd and 3, trap, right side, and I don't think he got the first, but they gave it to him. They are in Chicago territory. Dunn with time, it eventually runs out, and Lindsey with the sack. That will set up a 3rd and 17. Great protection. Dunn short to Starks, and he takes it the rest of the way for the first. Yes, there are 2 Starks. They've eaten up most of the third quarter. Dunn with great protection to the sideline, another first. It's now the start of the fourth quarter, same drive, third down, Dunn. Houston short of the first. This long drive will end with a 25-yard field goal to tie the game up at 10. We skip to the final 2 minutes, Giants have it back, and Starks makes the play on Hall across midfield. Giants with a chance to win the game here. Back to Starks, and it looks like he's got a Hall pass down inside the red zone. Chicago doesn't have any more timeouts. Third down, and they make the stop. New York will run down the clock as much as they can, and this 30-yard kick to give them the lead. Can Forrest redeem himself after the fumble from earlier that led to a touchdown for New York? It'll be fielded at the 1. He has the ability to take it to the house, but barely gets it to the 20, and he's now injured. 15 seconds left, no timeout. Young has time. Throws. Brown gets tackled in the middle of the field, and just like the Giants, they won't have the time to get to the line, and that's how this one will end. The Bears keep up their reputation of either going one and done or all the way. Today, their special teams cost them the game, and with the injury to Forrest, you have to wonder, is that it for his time here on the team? Well, there's always next year. Let's start the offseason. Nathan Vasher was still around. He was 3 interceptions shy of tying the NFL all-time record. Lorenzo Booker also retired. His best season was when we won the Super Bowl. Dorian McCulloch, remember him? He had a decent career in Oakland. It looks like if Young can't remain in elite territory going into next season, will most likely be going into his final season. We have 3 retirements. I figured this would have been Mercedes Lewis's final season. Ring of Honor for sure. Brian Urlacher is calling it a career at the age of 40. It's a no-brainer. He's a Hall of Famer, was elite for most of his career, but his final 6 seasons left a lot to be desired. Matt Beware was a solid signing, but we did get him towards the end of his career. Either way, he was a great contributor to the team. On to re-signings, Quincy Williams, emergency back. He gone. Thomas Millard, our number 3 or 2. He's fast, and I mean fast. He's a solid player. He's coming back. Elijah Forrest, one of our original Young Bucks. I think it's time to bid him adieu. He gone. Mark Colombo, look, at this point he might as well retire here. He's coming back. Tim Johnson, he gone. Joe Martin keeps getting injured, but he's still very good. He's coming back. Daryl Devine, more like Daryl be gone. Future John Lane is still elite, and I need all the elites. He's coming back. Snoop Lewis, emergency linebacker, he gone. Roger Floyd, he's been waiting for this moment for all of his life. He's coming back. Tremaine Hall is a no-brainer, right? 12 interceptions, he's elite, but he wants 17 million. Nah, he gone. Leon Jones is the next best corner. He's been slowly getting less productive, but he's coming back. Troy Warner, it's time. I thought he would retire here, but he's too expensive. He gone. Cedric Hudson, the kicker, his in-season stats are mid, but his postseason performances are mostly solid. He's coming back. Off to free agency, I brought back Hall on a cheaper contract. Moving on to the NFL draft. We have the 22nd selection. Since we're at the tail end of Young's career, I decided I'm going to make a trade with Courtney Brown. A change of scenery could do him good, and we'll package him with a first and second for the best receiver in the history of the NFL, P.K. Sam. He's the oldest receiver currently in the NFL, most likely his final year. We're also getting a third in return. Now we're trading both those thirds and a fourth for Eric Winston. Yes, that Eric Winston. He's one of the oldest tight ends in the NFL, which means it's also mostly likely his final year as well. We only had 3 picks in the draft and they were used for depth players. It's looking like this will be the final year for Vince Young. Now you see why I made the trades that I did, and drafting players at this point won't help benefit him this season or in the future. Lance Strong hasn't taken the leap into elite territory as quickly as I thought he would, but he's still a solid back. Myers, the fullback, PK Sam is our true number 1 going into the season. I expect big numbers from the passing game this year, especially with Eric Winston at tight end. Colombo will be starting at left tackle. Kenny Harris is the primary backup at guard. Joe Martin at center. Both lanes at guard. Harris at right tackle. Dickerson is the backup. Gibson is still not in the 80s after his 12-sack year. Miller at right end. Lindsey and Howell are still the defensive tackles. Doss is now the leader at linebacker. Floyd will be replacing Urlacher. Wilson at right outside linebacker. Hall and Jones at the starting corners. Sneaky Pete at free safety. Bayless will now be at strong safety. Pretty interesting to see the game plan fix most of the team's problems. It looks like it might be a long season for this defense. We lost in overtime the following week, and once again, Vince Young is out for a month. I decided to beef up the defense. Lester Hayward, elite, older linebacker from New Orleans, gave up a first for him. Then I traded a second-round pick for Ken Peterson. I also traded our 3rd, 4th, and 5th for Rams backup quarterback. We did win 2 straight heading into our bye week, then we lost to the Eagles. We do have Vince Young back, but our receivers are beat up, and we laid a goose egg. Is this the first time that's ever happened? They did bounce back, winning 6 straight, currently 2nd in the NFC, but lost to Green Bay. We did win the next 2 games. Unfortunately, the loss to the Packers really hurt us. The team did win the season finale, and I swear, why is this division so difficult to win? We'll also be without Joe Martin for the playoffs. Had Young not gotten injured, who knows, maybe we'd have the number 1 seed, but he still had his best season ever in his career. He was the 2nd best quarterback in the NFC. We do have to give credit to Nixon, won 2 of 3 games he started. Strong had struggled to get above 4 yards a carry, but still managed another 1,000-yard season. He was the 5th best running back in the NFC. Young was also not as mobile as prior seasons. I think this was the best season on the team by a receiver ever since Young was drafted. PK Sam definitely elevated this team. He was 5th in NFC MVP. He was 5th in NFC Offensive Player of the Year. He was also the best receiver in the NFL. The offensive line was pretty solid. Lane and Martin were the 2 best offensive linemen in the NFC. Lester Hayward led in tackles. Doss led in sacks. He was 5th best linebacker in the NFC. Lindsey and Miller were behind him with 8. Jones led in interceptions. Hall slumping. Sneaky Pete was the 5th best defensive back. Also, best year by Hudson kicking. He was the 3rd best kicker in the NFC. We had the number 1 offense this season. We also had the number 5 defense after struggling to limit turnovers. We've finally figured it out. For the 3rd time, had Jaron won one more game, he'd be the best coach. The Chicago Bears have now returned to the playoffs for the 5th straight time, and each time it's been a battle within their division for the top spot, in which they've failed to get each time. They've only had 1 year where they've hosted a playoff game, and they'll continue to stay away here in New Orleans. The team they gave up their 1st round pick for middle linebacker Lester Hayward, will today be his revenge game, or will the team go one and done? Let's find out. We start on Chicago's opening drive. 3rd down, Young with time connects with Cannon for the 1st. The following play, they keep it in the air. Young throws a floater, Strong with a catch in 1st. A play later, near midfield, Young sees the pressure, gets rid of it. Millard with the catch, and it's a fumble recovered by New Orleans, but it was overturned. That would put Chicago near the red zone. 2nd down, Young with great protection finds Cato near the sticks. That sets up a 3rd and 2, play action Young to the end zone, and their big off-season acquisition holds on to give them the 1st score in the game. We skip to the 2nd quarter. Bears have it still up strong. Spin move, gain of 8. Following play, they go to the air. Young quickly, Sam with the catch. The Bears have not struggled much offensively. Young back to Sam, short. 2nd and 2, this time they go to the ground. Strong with the 1st. 3 minutes left in the half. Young with great protection, deep. Sam with the catch. Following play, New Orleans brings the blitz and gets it out to Cato inside the 10. There's 2 minutes left in the half. Young to the end zone. Winston comes down with it. Who catches touchdowns in the red zone? Tight ends do, that's who. There's still a minute left in the half. New Orleans hasn't done much, but they go deep here, and Wells makes the play. It puts them in field goal range. Plenty of time still left to score, and Fisher continues to air it out. Warner with a catch and a face mask. It's now 3rd down at the 10 to cut it to a 1-score game, and Warner drops it. Saints play it super safe, going for the field goal to be down 14-3 going into the half. We now skip to the 2nd half. Saints have the ball. Warner was injured on the opening kickoff, and his backup can't make the tackle, and there he goes. Mere Fisk takes it the rest of the way, 79 yards to cut the deficit down to 4. We move to the final minute of the 3rd quarter. The Bears offense has come to a complete halt. They've lost the momentum, they're punting it away, and it's a fumble. It's on the ground, and it's recovered by Chicago. Maybe they can get the momentum back. Play action Young, Millard inside the 20. The drive did stall out there. Chicago kicking a field goal to make it a 1-touchdown lead. We now skip to the final 2 minutes of the game. Bears punting it away. They still have a touchdown lead. Arden on the return, down the sideline, across midfield. New Orleans will have half a field to work with. The blitz doesn't get there. Rashad with the 1st. The following play, 0 pressure. Fisher going deep. Caught in double coverage. They're inside the red zone. Fisher to his right, back to his left. Arden makes the catch for the 1st. There's a minute left in the game. Fisher to the end zone, and it's all tied up. Swanson with the game-tying catch. Chicago decides to play for overtime, but Strong wants it all and gets past the sticks. They now come out in the shotgun. Young going to throw. Winston almost gets picked. 26 seconds left in the game. 2nd down, Young to Millard across midfield. They have 0 timeouts left. 10 seconds. Young hit as he throws. Winston comes down with it, and the Saints call a timeout. That's a strange decision there. Hudson comes out for a 49-yard game-winning field goal, and call him car wash, 'cause he's automatic. Now there's still 2 seconds left, and it's not over till it's over. Ask Buffalo. Green on the return from inside the 10, takes it past the 20, bounces outside, shakes off a tackle, and it's over. The Chicago Bears will be moving on to the divisional round thanks to the head-scratching decision by New Orleans. They called a timeout in the final seconds to allow the game-winning kick. Since Chicago didn't go one and done, does that mean they go all the way again? Chicago now travels from the Gulf Coast to the Pacific Coast, taking on the Seattle Seahawks in the snow. They survived last week thanks to a blunder by New Orleans. This week they take on the 12th man. Can the Bears move on to the NFC Championship game? Let's find out. We start this one in the final 2 minutes of the first half. Young, under pressure, gets it to Cato for the first. They're near midfield, quick drop, Young to Sam, tackled short. Sets up a 2nd and 1, they don't run. Deep, Sam holds on. A minute to go from the 24, Young to the sideline, Sam makes the catch. A play later, play action, fools no one. Off balance, Strong with a catch to give Chicago the first score in the game. There's still time left for Seattle to answer. Fisher to Thomas and gets brought down by the face mask. A play later, Fisher in the pocket, pumps, running out of time, going deep. Ziegler makes the catch. They're now on the edge of field goal range, being chased off balance and connects with Houston. 17 seconds left. They could tie it up here. Fisher to Waller at the 10, and Seattle chooses to play it safe, kicking a field goal to make it 7-3 going into the half. Moving to the second half, Seattle punting it away, same score, and it's a short punt. They take over from their own 45, and look at him rumbling. The one and only time Young took off with it. It's now 3rd and 4. They keep it on the ground. Strong powers through for the first. They're now in Seattle territory, pressure in his face, and still gets it out to Sam for a big play. That puts them inside the red zone. Play action, Young throws inside the 10. From the 9-yard line, great protection to the back of the end zone. Sam has his 2nd touchdown in the playoffs to make it 14-3. We're now in the 4th quarter, pressure in his face, and makes the throw. That was an insane throw. Doss came in completely clean, and Fisher still got it off. They now face a 3rd down, more pressure, no problem. Just over 2 minutes left in the game. Going back to Thomas, and they're picking on Hall. We're now in the 2-minute warning. Fisher moves to his right, going back to Thomas. Wasn't Hall supposed to be an elite shutdown corner? Well, not so fast, my friend. Seattle will now go for 2 to make it a 3-point game, and it's dropped. They'll now have to go for the onside kick. They still have all 3 timeouts, and they're going to need them as Chicago recovered it. Seattle did stop them to a field goal attempt. Hudson, 39 yards, and it's short. The heavy snow playing a factor. Seattle will have 17 seconds to work with, and this pass will get them across midfield, but remember, no more timeouts. The clock is ticking. Tick, 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 tick. They're trying to get everyone set. They might not be able to spike it. They didn't have the time. One last play. Fisher, Houston, 10 yards short. And that's how it ends. The Chicago Bears do it again. They survive against the Seattle Seahawks this week. The snow changed the outcome, but their offense scored enough in the first half, and their defense slowed them down in the second half to send them back to the NFC Championship game. Can Chicago do it in Young's potentially final year? Can they go all the way for the 4th time, or will this be the first time in his career that he gets eliminated past the wild card? They'll be taking on the team that once again took the division crown, the Green Bay Packers. Who moves on to the Super Bowl? Let's find out. We start this one on the first play of the game, and the pass is picked off by Hayward. They gave up a 1st-round pick for him, and I'd say he's been worth it. It only led to a field goal attempt by Chicago, 43 yards for the first point in the game. Can Green Bay do a better job on their second drive? Well, protection holds up. Jones Jones with the first. They now face a third down, play action, linebackers get sucked in, Bush across midfield. They face another third down on the drive, Chicago getting no pressure, deep, Fuller with the first. Packers are now in field goal range, Harrison to Simmons in the red zone. 2nd and 2, they hand it to Vanelli and he's hit hard at the sticks. They do give him the first and this will be the final play of the first quarter, Jones with the catch. Second quarter, third down, Harrison pumps, running out of time and it's knocked down. Green Bay didn't turn it over, but the long drive stalls in the red zone. It's all tied up at 3. Chicago has yet to get a first down in the game, punting it away after a 3 and out. Vanelli on the return avoids 2 defenders. Across midfield, the 40 tackled at the 30. Green Bay would also go 3 and out, but were in field goal range to take the lead. We skip to the final minute of the half, Chicago unable to get anything going, but Strong tries to change that. After 7 on the play, Young from the shotgun finds Winston for the first. A play later, Young in the pocket has Cannon short. They rush back to the line, playing aggressively. The pass bounces and caught by Millard across midfield. Takes it inside the 30. 12 seconds left in the half. Young with time goes back to Cannon past the first to the 9. With 5 seconds left, they don't risk it for the biscuit, choosing to tie it at 6 going into the half. They would also have the ball to start the second half, a chance to take the lead, and Millard breaks free, tackled at the 45. A play later, near midfield, high snap, Young to Sam. Sets up a 3rd and 1 pitch, Strong gets the first. On the new set of downs, Strong up the middle, and he's real strong. Gets another first. They're now in field goal range, 3rd straight run, Strong, gain of 8. 2nd and 2, they're going to throw. Sam with the first. Turk is in the backfield, takes the handoff right side, gain of 7. They're now inside the red zone. Young with plenty of time has Cato inside the 10. Chicago has eaten up most of the third quarter and Sam has his 3rd straight touchdown in the playoffs. We now go to the Packers following drive at the start of the 4th, Maynard with the catch. Following play, they go to the ground, Vanelli near midfield. A play later, 3rd down, needing 4, Harrison feeling pressure and finds a wide open Kirkland. They face another 3rd down, needing 14, Harrison's pass is knocked away. Too long to go for it, instead they'll attempt a 51-yard kick and it's no good. The Packers do have it again in the final 2 minutes. Harrison to Jones. 2nd and 4, Harrison to the sideline, Jones with the catch. The play did go under review and you can clearly see he wasn't able to get his 2nd foot in bounds. That means it's 3rd and 4, Harrison goes back to Jones and almost picked off. It's now 4th and 4 to keep the game going. Taylor with the catch and Hall makes the tackle for a turnover on downs. That would effectively end the game. The Chicago Bears will be returning back to the Super Bowl for the 3rd time in 5 seasons. And at this point, would you consider this team a dynasty? It looks like Young will have a chance to finish his career riding into the sunset. Here we are for the 4th and potentially final time for Vince Young. They've returned back to the Super Bowl for the 3rd time in 5 years, losing the last time they were here, but Young has a chance to break even against another Young, James Young. How fitting that the team that was in consideration for drafting Vince after a rough rookie year from James has the opportunity to prove that they were right to stick with their franchise quarterback. This is Super Bowl 53, the youngest Super Bowl alive. Let's get it on. We start on the first drive of the game. Young, deep, Ekman with the catch. The following play, Doss on a delayed blitz. James has Cleveland for a big play. This secondary is struggling already. In Chicago territory, counter, Walls right side, doesn't have the patience for the blocking. 2nd down, pitch right side, Walls shakes off Hall and met at the sticks. 3rd and inches, a 3rd straight run, and Walls gets it to the 20. Walls is on the sideline, taking a breather. 4th straight run, Logan's run, breaks off a tackle down to the 1. They get pushed back back a few plays later, James Ekman, and it doesn't get any easier than that. We skip to the second quarter, Chiefs ball still up, Bush with a catch across midfield. The Chicago defense has not looked good, and James goes deep, caught by Cleveland. Following the big play, they fake the handoff, Moss with a short catch at the 20. A play later, third down, Walls tackled at the line by Doss. Your eyes don't fool you, that's Cedric Hudson for the Chiefs, kicking a 38-yard field goal to give Kansas City a 10-0 lead. We'll get a chance to see this 2-minute offense for the Bears. Winston is wide open past the first spin move, short of midfield. A play later, 4-man rush, Vince has all day to throw, down the middle, caught by Millard, tack on 5 for the face mask. Just outside the red zone, third down, Young throws and it's picked off. Vince turned the ball over to go into the half scoreless. The Bears do start the second half with the ball, Vince going deep. Sam with the catch, and that's why they gave up a 1st and 2nd for him. Is that the play that jumpstarts this offense? Going deep, Millard with the catch at the 10. They now face a third down to the end zone. Millard with the catch, and it's a game again. Can their defense tighten up? Safety blitz, and it doesn't look like it. A play later, Doss on the blitz, James gets rid of it, and it's picked off by Leon Jones. They're not going to get him, and wait a minute, Chicago now has the lead. This game turned upside down for the Chiefs. James down the middle, Cleveland with a catch, and they're trying to rebuild the momentum. Following play, 7 guys in to block. James going deep, caught, shakes off a tackle, fighting near the 20. It's the start of the fourth quarter, pitch, Walls right side, and he's going in untouched to give Kansas City the lead again. Bears have it back under 2 minutes. Vince with great protection, Cato in double coverage. They're now in the no-huddle offense. Vince moves to his right, going deep. Myers with the catch. After a penalty on defense, they're at the 10. Vince with plenty of time has Sam inside the 5. 1 minute left in the game. Strong, he's real strong, giving Chicago the lead. Can the defense hold out for 1 more minute? James off balance to Bush for the 1st. From their own 34, James with great protection throws to his left, caught by Thomas. 42 seconds left in the game. Chicago brings a blitz, James gets rid of it. Hall couldn't make the play, and Ekman is going to take it all the way. So much for being an elite corner. The Chiefs now have a 3-point lead. That interception by Vince before the half is coming back to haunt them, but he has a chance to be the hero here, and it's a fumble recovered by Kansas City, and Vince Young won't even get the chance to be a hero. And that fumble took away any chance for them to win the game, and for the 3rd time in his career, Vince Young will lose the Super Bowl, and each game was by 1 score. Twice he didn't even get the chance to lead a game-winning drive. The next question is, will there be a next year? I did want to show the career leaders up to this point, and 3 of the top 5 passers in terms of yards are in our division. Harrison, Mills, and Vince Young. No wonder each year was a struggle to win the division. Let's start the offseason. It's official. Vince Young retired. I think I can confidently say that his career here was much better than his real-life counterpart. I would like to know if you think it's Hall of Fame worthy. He's not a first ballot in my opinion, but he did go to 4 Super Bowls, won one of them, was one of the best scrambling quarterbacks during his career. I think he gets in, but not anytime soon. Also, screw you, Tremaine Hall. You were supposed to help bring balance to the pass defense, not leave it in darkness.